Oh, yes. Getting started. Yep, we're up on Instagram and then checking Substack. Yes. What's up, Substack? There's 16 of you watching. You can throw some hearts in there. You don't have to type anything. Just hit the little heart button. Let me know you're there. There you go. Hi, Diora. I hope I pronounced that right. I think I did. Diarrhea. I'm gonna call you Diarrhea because I like that. It's so much, you know. Okay. Gathering up some more nonsense. Almost there, I swear. All right, let's get started. Welcome to the show, everybody. I gotta brag for 1 second, and then I'll get to the chat room and say hi. By the way, like, subscribe, etc., etc. Hi, good. What's happening? I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, especially while I'm doing this. So, Johnny Million and I have decided to make a little bit of music together. After all these years, I finally talked him into it. All it took was me going, like, basically barging into his house and insisting. So I laid a couple of riffs on him, and he seemed to like them. So we are going to revive our high school band, Seismograph, and release a record of some sort. I'm very excited about that. So excited that I went and got my original guitar that I played when he and I were hanging out together in high school, and I fixed it. So this is a Fender Squier Strat that I've had for a long time. Yeah, seismograph. It's the instrument that measures how rock moves. Anyways, I've had this guitar since I was 17, I think. Yeah, and it was always wonky. I've never been really great at Floyd Rose. It's got a Floyd Rose. It's got a whammy bar. It's not installed right now. But the pickups on it were kind of shite. And so I decided I'm going to dust it off and fix it up. And I put, you can barely see them, I put in the same pickups in this guitar that Prince uses. So I'm using a set of EMGs that are the same kind Prince uses, or used, bless his heart. And then but when I wired it together, something was wrong. Something didn't work. Because it was using the EMG solderless system, and I have a switch on this thing. This switch right here is what's called a YM50. It's the import switch because the body is so thin. You can't use a regular like tele switch on here, so you have to use this knockoff YM50 thing, which is like that thin. But you have to hand solder all of it, and some of the connectors were just shite. They were shite, and so when I tried to rewire it together with the old YM50 in there, it just would not work. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong because it had kind of worked before, but these are active pickups and those are passive pickups, which means these run on a battery, the other ones don't. And so anyways, it was driving me crazy. It was making me nuts. And thanks to ChatGPT, Rob Glenn is here. Thanks to ChatGPT, I figured out a way to basically create a little plastic bus using a little electronics tool, and it's under this little thing right here. And I installed it in there. It has just been put back together, and it actually plays. I'm not gonna play it right now because I don't have a amp in this room. But I'm happy. Last night it was. Summer will tell you it was aggravating the shit out of me, and I was like, I want to play this out on the stuff that Johnny and I do together. It's important to me that this is the guitar. And then it now works. I also put blue strings on it. I don't know if you can see that. They're these like neon blue strings, and they're completely stupid, but I don't care because awesome. Anyways, so this thing has been reborn, and expect to see it in the near future with me and Johnny Million playing together in something. We'll work it out whether we do an album first and release a single or a single first and then release an album. We'll work it out. But I'm sending him tracks, and we're going to start working on this. Don't. Anyways, okay, putting it back. And then I'll go back to the show. That was always in high school. That was more of a guitar than I needed. And now I've grown into it. So I'm very excited about the thing. And the fact that it just works is so nice. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, not the least of which that the wonderful sparklers are here. Hello, chat room. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Like the show, share the show, subscribe. For God darn. I don't know what's going to get me over the hump. I'm putting little shorts up and all these kind of things, and I know the show has reach. Am I your just side piece? Is that what it is? You're not subscribing because you're just like, well, he knows I love him. I'll see him other places. Just do it, will ya? Can I play like Prince? No. One day, if I could have maybe 15 years where I do nothing but music, that'd do it. I can play Bread Fan by Metallica and sing it at the same time now, which is a big step. So that I'm very proud about. And And by the way, some of you may know that 01, my band, occasionally would throw what I call a WTF covers in there, or a holy shit cover, because you want to do a cover where people go, oh shit, wow, nobody covers that, and it's amazing. Okay, and it's in that weird zone of it can't be a cult one-hit wonder. It's got to be something that really slaps and everybody loves it, but nobody covers it because it's hard or because they're busy doing stuff that's more well-known, but it's in that window of like, oh, I love that song, right? So one of the songs that's kind of buried in our repertoire is Chaos and Disorder, the Prince song. Oh, strange. Thank you. I'm very proud of that song. Anyways, if you haven't heard the song Chaos and Disorder by Prince, please give it a listen. I can't play it on here because I'll get a copyright strike and and ruin what little money I do make from the show. But you must listen to it. It's on it's on the album Chaos and Disorder, which is fantastic. Which I also, is it that or Gold that has Dinner with Dolores on it? Yeah. One of my favorite like lyric lines ever. Dinner with Dolores must be some kind of scene. Like a brontosaurus, she was packing it in. You want to hear me do Drop Dead Legs? We've done Drop Dead Legs with Nerd Halen. We need to do it more often. We need to do Nerd Halen shows. So we got to get a booker first. So, because Caleb can't do all this himself. His house burned down, for fuck's sake. All right. Be All End All, Anthrax cover. I've been trying to do I'm the Man and Indians for a long time at the Jam. We'll get there. Tomorrow night at the Ultimate Jam Night, where, you know, the whiskey, for those of you who don't know, the whiskey was hit by a truck. Did you know this? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's see if I can find the image of it. Yeah, here you go. So, visit this site. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, we weren't even sure. Oh, fuck off. I just want to look at the picture, you bastard. Let's do this one. Here you go. Visit. Yeah. So the whiskey was hit by an out-of-control dump truck. A truck full of rock. We got your rock right here. If you don't know, what the hell? That's a channel rate. Why is this thinking? What channel does it think it's on? You silly goose. You are silly, and you were a goose. Hold on one second. Properties. Yes, that's right. Then we go back to here, and something like that. Then we go to there. Then we go back to here. Then we go to here. There it is. Okay. Yeah, now we'll get it. There you go. Boink. Yeah, so there's the whiskey. This is the front of the whiskey. This is the back of the whiskey. Got hit by a truck. And let's see if I can find another. Here's the ABC shot of it. So I got to give him credit. The dude who hit the thing, get out of the way. Is there another? No, there's not another picture. Son of a bitch. If you know the area, the fact that this guy did exactly what you should do when you have a runaway truck and you're going that direction down La Cienega. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Sunset Strip runs right in front of the whiskey, okay? And La Cienega is this little street right here. Sorry, is it San Vicente? Am I drunk? Hold on. Sorry, San Vicente. And anyways, let's see if I can show the intersection. But it's a very steep hill as it comes down to Sunset, and then as it goes across, it gets really steep again, and then it goes down into very heavily trafficked rather. Hold on, let me see. Sunset and San Vicente. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. Boink. See if I can show this. Is the thing? Yeah, I'm drunk. Show me the map, you silly dog. Okay, there we go. So here's the whiskey. Go away. Move out of the way. And there's Holloway. And then there's Crescent, La Brea. And then, yeah, scroll this in. Yeah, so here's San Vicente. Okay, this is Sunset Boulevard right here. There's the whiskey. It's a good old whiskey, where I will be tomorrow night singing Tush by ZZ Top, Over My Head by King's X, and Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. With a live band and no rehearsal. Yeah, you're right. Awesome. Okay, so this is Sunset Strip in all of its vague forms. Yeah. Well, technically, the Beastie Boys are a power trio, and they played their instruments on that one. So, yeah, okay. So in this, if you go up this way, if you go up San Vicente, up Clark Street, which is here, the last street to Clark, there's the Motley Crue house right there. Up this way, let's see this curving stuff, this business right here. They were doing work up here. Okay, this is very steep. This is like San Francisco steep. From here to here, we're talking that kind of a grade. Like it's a major thing. As a matter of fact, when you park in the parking lot of the Whiskey, you're driving up at an angle into it, and then it's been leveled out with cement, and it's wonky, right? So where's the Blue Oyster? That's further south. I'll show you. Okay, so that's in West Hollywood proper. So very steep, and then obviously it flattens out at Sunset, and then at this point, when it becomes San Vicente, it's a fucking drop. Like it goes down here, there's a slight curve to it, and then it goes all the way down, and here's Santa Monica Boulevard. Lots of traffic, very busy intersection, lots of people all the time. If you see the like Hollywood, like Halloween, Santa Monica, Pride, this street and this stretch of it is full of fucking people, okay? If this guy doesn't hit the Whiskey, his brakes went out, if he's coming down this way, if the only option he has, because there's like a little corner wall here, you could never make the turn in here. This has a little parking lot, and then this is the corner that he struck, okay? If this guy doesn't do that, if he just goes into here, he's going through 6 lanes of traffic and anybody who's turning, okay? So the chances of like smashing through vehicles and killing a bunch of people, very high. And after that, it gets even higher. So if he continues down this way, there's the Sunset Strip. There you go. Yeah, see all that traffic? That's just a regular shot. So I'm saying kudos to the dump truck driver for making a split-second decision and pulling into this parking lot and hitting this building to stop himself. There was almost a chance we didn't do the show because they weren't sure if the structure was hurt. It is not. It's fine. So they got the go-ahead a couple of days ago. But it was, it was up in. This is where I park every time. Right, and hold on, right up in here. This is where I park when I do the jam. And there's a lovely Armenian dude who runs the parking lot there, who's awesome, and I look forward to seeing him every single time. And he's great. And he and his brother, I think, run the place, he's got 2 other family members, or whatever. Really awesome dude. Runs all that. Couldn't be nicer. And I park here, and then I walk around the front, and then I go in the band entrance door, which is right in the front. You go straight up onto the stage, and it's really cool. So, but then see how this, you can see even how this tilts down here. All these buildings are kind of on a slant, and then maybe he could have gone into here if there's no traffic, nobody in this area. But there's also a wall here, so I don't know that he would have been able to know if he was going to hit anybody. And then it's just people walking their dogs and building up speed all the way down through here. So that dude deserves a massive round of applause for making a really rough split-second decision and not killing anybody and not dying himself. So the jam is on tomorrow night, even though the building was hit by rock. So there you go. That's the big story. So tomorrow night I'm doing Ultimate Jam Night, and no matter what they do, a giant truck full of rocks. And by the way, I think a couple of people who work at the Whiskey get brand new cars, so that's cool. Also in an earthquake zone, something like this hitting this isn't doing much. And I think actually what blunted the impact on the building was this car. Honest to God, like he didn't plow through the actual structure of the building or fuck it up at all, because he like crushed 2 cars in the process. They like cushioned the blow. Yeah. So, that was fun. I'll see if I can post some pictures from there or whatever, but we're doing the show tomorrow night. celebrating power trios, and I'm so excited to be able to do a King's X song. Makes you feel good. Only thing better than that, doing 2 of them. Be fun to do 2 King's X songs. But what are you gonna do? All right. So yes, they absorbed the impact. I'm fairly certain these cars that were there. And I hope they had insurance. When was this? This was Saturday, I think. Like Saturday. Let's see. Friday afternoon. Struck by a dump truck. It appeared to be caused the vehicle experienced brake failure while it was being loaded on a construction site on Clark Street. Or they just like runaway truck. He got out of it and kablooey. But it hit the whiskey. Yeah, the driver, as far as I know, he's okay. Well, it took out the power. Let's see. Friday night shows were canceled as repairs were underway with hopes to reopen on Saturday, which they did. Yeah, the band Boy Hits Car was playing, which is hilarious because they were sound checking, I would guess, because that's when sound check is, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and it's fitting to this bang. It seems like that always happens, but you just roll with it. It's rock and roll, man. One loud bang, the building moves. You're like, uh-oh, huge earthquake. Been through those before. And so you're running with, the truck was chased. Okay, there was another person. We heard crazy crunching and squealing up the hill, both kind of just standing there waiting to figure out what it was. And we saw a truck go through the gates there and smash through cars and hit the building. I was running away from all the way to the top of the hill. The truck was chasing me, almost killing me, another person noted. Yep. Nightclub was first opened in Chicago, Illinois. The LA spot became the big one. I think we need to reopen the Chicago whiskey. I'm just saying. It might be a thing. Right? Yeah, it's totally metal. So, anyways, glad everybody is safe. What a crazy fucking thing. But phew, right? Okay, now we've got a lot of shit to cover, not the least of which is... we covered a little bit this morning because I played, in case you missed it this morning, I played clips the first hour dealing with Trump's announcement about his drug rubber stamp thing, which is an executive order he calls a bill because he's stupid, and the trade thing, which we'll get into in just a second. But I want to jump into this so much. Okay, so the great Gonzo was at that signing thing, and then they all did a little press push right afterwards. That's the not so great Gonzo, RFK Jr. And he goes, the big criticism was it's price controls. He's regulating how much a company can charge for its product. Which again, for most of us, when it comes to medical care, it comes to drugs or something like that, there's obviously got to be limits on some of this stuff. And yet at the same time, it is a private industry making a private thing. Nobody can force you to make something against your will. Technically, there's a lot of, it gets very complicated. But I think on the Democratic side, we're like, well, carrot and stick, right? Oh yeah, sorry, nut warning. Sorry about that. That's my bad. I apologize. Prepare yourself. Although I think, in all fairness, his whole face is just a series of nuts. So I don't know, there's no way out. There's no way out. Anyways, so Trump comes out.
Here I am like an idiot.
And he says, he signs this thing that he calls a bill, and it's an executive order, on, using, I don't know. Honestly, no one knows what it fucking says. Yeah. My clip echoed? I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix part of that. But it's kind of funny at the same time, maybe. Yeah? Okay. The echo's back. Wait a minute. Why am I... Okay, hold on. I'm not hearing audio on my end. It's probably that stupidness. Check. Let's go back to here. Where's the monitor? Did I turn this on? Okay. I should be hearing it. Nope. Why would that be? I'm gonna figure it out. Don't you worry. Okay, let's try this one. We'll go to Is it because the browser stuff was in there? Let's go to, I'm going to try this here and this, and let's see if we can go to it should be the stream thing. It shouldn't be, it should be the stream thing. No, it should be monitored. Yeah. To the stream. And then let's see if this works.
Starting today, the United States
Okay, you guys can hear it. Now I can't. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so that would be this situation. Hi, how you doing? Good, it's fun. Here's the Elgato wavelength, and then I just moved that out of there. Is that just off? Is that what happened? Yeah, here we go. Okay, I think this will do it. Hopefully it's not an echo.
no longer subsidize the health care.
We're good. Fixed it. Some weird, like, audio loopy thing. All right.
Of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. What's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. We're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%, but actually more than that if you think about it.
No, there's really not more than that. You hear the audio and echo? Okay, great. Thank you.
In the way mathematically.
Extraordinary stuff. Health and Human Services Secretary
Yes, extraordinary math.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was in the room when Trump signed the order, and he joins me now. Mr. Secretary, Trump says some prices will come down almost immediately. What is the timetable for these price cuts?
Well, there's a series of escalating steps, but you know what? That will bring them down to European levels. Right now, America provides 75% of the pharmaceutical revenues in the world. And we only have 4.2% of the world's population.
Sure.
We're paying in our country, the list price for Ozempic is $1,300 per dose. In London, it's $88. And Democratic and Republican politicians have been talking about for years, we got to end these discrepancies.
Also, real quick, Ozempic, as you know, is a relatively new drug, and the NHS and others negotiate bulk buying. That's why. Also, the variability of the cost of the drug in the United States is wiggle room. There's definitely a higher rate in the United States, no question. But it's not as if, and again, they also make stuff here and sell it here, and then they also have other labs like in India and other places that lower the cost of it. So even though they're like, it was made in the same place, like made by the same people, it's not quite true. But again, most of these things, I'm just going to take the win. If it takes like Republicans to get like Bernie and Obama and Biden ideas across the finish line, who gives a shit?
Nobody has had the courage to do it because of the power of the pharmaceutical lobby on Capitol Hill.
By the way, he was. You'll recall that the not so great Gonzo over here was basically hired to get us all off prescription drugs, and we're all on too many chronic drugs and chronic drugs and chronic drugs and all that kind of stuff. And yet he's touting the fact that Ozempic should be cheaper here when he doesn't think anybody should be on it to start with. And again, if it's helping people lower their A1C or manage their diabetes and help them lose weight if they've been stuck in it for a long time or whatever, it should be available. There's also a there's a trending point where you can get off this drug. It doesn't have to be a lifelong drug. That's the difference. And again, this would make it an acute treatment, which is why the expenditure gets higher, whatever. Anyways, point being is they don't really give a shit. They didn't give a shit about this until their own, they looked at the mortality rate of red states, and they're like, oh shit, all of our main supporters, all these like elderly, borderline, like the villages and all these like older maggots are going to be dead in like 15 years because they all eat shit to be like Trump, and they all treat their bodies terribly, and they don't exercise, and if they do, they overdo it and injure themselves, like with CrossFit and shit like MTG does.
Okay.
In answer to your question, how soon will this happen? It depends on how enthusiastically the drug companies cooperate. There are a series of escalating steps that we will take if they don't cooperate. But we're very, we've been meeting with the pharmaceutical companies. They admit that this is something that should have ended a long time ago. And I think they're ready to figure out a way to get there. And they have advantages in this executive order, Stuart.
Okay.
Because we got rid of the PBMs, we got rid of the middlemen, and that's something that they've wanted themselves.
Dr. Mark Siegel was on the program just a few minutes ago.
Also, just for the record, part of what the deal is that Trump will use the trade leverage that he's using with the rest of the with the rest of the world to make it so that drug companies can raise prices on Europeans and everybody else. That's the big part of this. More than, and this is the part of the sales pitch this morning. It's like, we're 4% of the populace, and sure, you could sell it to us for 4 times as much or double or whatever. It depends on the drug. But when you sell to Europe, there's a lot more Europeans. There's a lot more people in Asia. If you could sell it to those markets, we'll force them to take these things as part of our trade thing. One of those non-trade barriers and non-tariff trade barriers they're talking about is that they don't take American pharmaceuticals in at volume, right? That's the other thing, is that they limit its prescription on purpose. This is the theory anyways.
And he said the devil is in the details. Specifically, do these drug price cuts apply to Medicare Part D? Can you answer the question?
Yeah, they absolutely will. Oh. They'll apply to Medicare, and they'll apply in the private market as well.
There are some critics of this who say,
yeah, how? I gotta tell, okay, maybe we need a copy of this fucking thing? Does that sound like a plan? Hold on. Trump EO on drug prices PDF? I don't know. President, I should put drug prices first, lowering drug prices 6 to 8 hours. It's 2020, lowering drug prices by once again putting America first. April 5th, that's a different one. April 18th. So he's done a bunch of these. Hold on. Okay, fact sheet, President Trump. Okay, this is the White House's fact sheet. We'll see if it has the text of it. Reducing drug prices for Americans and taxpayers. The order directs the U.S. trade representatives and Commerce take action to ensure foreign countries are not engaged in practices that purposely and unfairly undercut market prices and drive price hikes in the United States. Which means if they have a system where they can buy in bulk, if we can't buy in bulk, neither can they. Psh. The order instructs the administration to communicate price targets to pharmaceutical manufacturers to establish that America, largest purchaser and funder of prescription drugs in the world, gets the best deal. The Secretary of Health and Human Services will establish a mechanism, through which American patients can buy their drugs directly from manufacturers who sell to Americans at a most favored nation price, bypassing middlemen. What would that what mechanism? Like the Amazon Health thing? We're just going to buy direct from the manufacturer. They're going to sell it to us like we're going to drive down to fucking Tennessee, and there'll be a big drug outlet barn right next to a fireworks store. If drug manufacturers fail to offer a most favored nation price, the order directs the Secretary of Health and Human Services to 1, propose rules that impose most favored nation pricing, and 2, take other aggressive measures to significantly reduce the cost of prescription drugs to the American consumer and anti-competitive practices. Like what? For real, great. Propose some rules. Oh dear, something's being proposed. Okay, sure. That will impose them. That doesn't mean those rules are legal or they will pass muster. Okay. Yeah, no pharmacist, exactly. We're getting around the pharmacist. You just buy it directly. Just the Ozempic, you'll just get a drive-up window and just stick your ass out the window and at Merck. And then take other aggressive measures to significantly reduce the cost of prescription drugs to the American consumer and end anti-competitive practices. All right, like what? Okay, getting a better deal. According to the recent data, yeah, we know all that shit. Delivering on promises to put them in this order builds on actions. Okay. President Trump recently signed the executive order to take additional action to lower drug prices, including providing massive discounts to low-income patients for life-saving medicines, facilitating importation programs, and increasing the availability of generic and biosimilar medicines. All right, he scratched out Biden's EO and recreated it with his own name on it. On a bunch of these, that's what a bunch of these things are. He's also working to make drug prices radically transparent, as he recently signed an executive order to build on his historic price transparency efforts undertaken during his first term, which did fucking nothing because they're executive orders and they're unenforceable. In case after case, our citizens pay massively higher prices. Okay, 4 times, blah blah blah, and that okay. Honest to God, where's the fucking text of this thing? There should be a link to it. The actual no, you're not gonna you're not gonna link to the actual fucking thing. All right. Okay, yeah, here it is. It's on a totally different page. Here you go. Delivering most favored nation prescription drug pricing to American patients. Presidential actions. Executive orders May 12th. Okay, there we go. The United States has less than 5% of the world. Okay, the United States is far too long. Blah blah blah. Okay, section 1 policy. Americans should not be forced to subsidize low-cost prescription drugs and biologics for other developed countries. Take immediate steps to end the global freeloading, and should drug manufacturers fail to offer it, they're going to be in big fucking trouble. Okay, addressing that. No, section 3. The Secretary and the United States to take all necessary and appropriate action to ensure foreign countries are not engaged in any act, policy, or practice that may be unreasonable or discriminatory, or that may impair United States national security, or that has the effect of forcing American patients to pay for a disproportionate amount of global pharmaceutical research and development, including by suppressing the price of pharmaceutical products below fair market value in foreign countries. Well, if they buy it in bulk, that's not artificially suppressing it. That's just smart savings. Enabling direct-to-consumer sale to American patients as the most favored nation price. So putting CVS and remember all those people that came to stand next to Trump during the first administration during COVID, and they're like CVS and Walgreens, and they're like locking arms up there because they were gonna give everybody a shot in the ass outside of Walmart from a military truck, which maggots would totally dig, right? Those guys are fucked, I guess. Is that what it is? What's fair market value? That's a good question, Greg. Nowhere in it does it say, oh, well, maybe it does. Here you go. This is section 5. Let's go straight to that. Establishing most favored nation pricing. Well, how do we do this? Well, we've got 30 days. Okay. Within 30 days of this order, the Secretary shall, in coordination with the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy, the Administrator for the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services, and other relevant executive department and agency officials. They put agency in, I don't know if you noticed that. Agency, right next to agency, it says agency in parentheses. So you know when they say agency, they mean agency. So if you see the word agency, it means agency going forward in the document. I'm not kidding. Look, hold on. There we go. And agency officials. Communicate most favored nation price targets to pharmaceutical manufacturers to bring prices for American patients in line with comparably developed nations. If following the action described in subsection A of this section, significant progress towards most favored nation pricing for Americans is not delivered to the extent consistent with law, meaning whatever we can do with an executive order, which is fuck all, the Secretary shall propose a rulemaking plan to impose most favored nation pricing. Okay. The Secretary shall consider certification to the Congress that importation under Section 804 of the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act will pose no additional risk to the public health and safety and result in a significant reduction of the price of prescription drugs to the American consumer. And if the Secretary so certifies, then the Commissioner of Food shall take action under that to describe circumstances under which waivers will be consistently granted to import prescription drugs on a case-by-case basis from developed nation with low-cost prescription drugs. So what we'll do is we'll just buy Ozempic from England and sell it, with a slight shipping markup from the $80 price. Okay. Following the, so we're going to, but the question is there still a 25% tariff? We're going to tariff our own drugs. Okay, brilliant. Following the report issued under Section 13 of Executive Order, yes, but putting American Attorney General, Chairman of the Federal Trade Commission shall undertaken by the Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay, what? Including through use of, yeah, they're going to go after big pharma for antitrust. You do realize it's like 9 fucking companies that are the big ones, and there's like 30 other subsidiaries. Right. There's still a middleman. Right. There's now a middleman, but he's British, so it's okay. Yeah? So right. I'm a middleman. Which don't be confused with my our favorite middleman. Of course, Steve Middleman, who you might know from from Roxanne. Yeah. First, you don't want to stare, and then you find yourself staring, and then you realize I'm looking at a man who, when washing his face, loses the bar of soap. Steve Middleman, everybody. Okay. Secretary of Commerce, heads of other relevant agencies shall review, consider necessary action regarding the export of pharmaceutical drugs or precursor material that may be fueling the global price discrimination. How would selling more of it or exporting it increase the global price discrimination? You'd want to open markets so they sell more of it, so the price goes down naturally because the demand is, is larger, or the supply and demand balances out here and there. I'm sorry, Corette, I'm working on it. It's difficult. They discontinued the goddamn software. Okay, Secretary, Commission Food and Drug, okay. General provision. Nothing in this order shall be construed otherwise effect. Okay, this is the bottom part. Section 6 of everything. It means that this is all null and void. It's got my scribbly on it, but it doesn't actually fucking do anything. If anybody pushes back, it goes away. So, okay, first of all, chat room. Does anybody know what the fuck that means? Does anybody know what a commission on the possible nature of elements that would disallow the overselling of driving up the prices for American consumers and subsidizing other markets through unfair trading practices within that, and within 30 days? In 30 days, this motherfucker couldn't figure out what the ass they're asking for.
Look, these are price controls, almost neo-socialist price controls on
Yeah. And
drug prices. What's your answer to that?
My answer is it's getting rid of price controls, because the European governments have told the drug companies, here is the maximum price we're going to pay. We're not going to pay any more. If you don't give us this price, you can't sell it in our country. That is the epitome of a price control.
Right, but you're not making them raise their prices. You're lowering ours to that.
President Trump is returning the marketplace to this and saying, look, we're going to have a global marketplace. We're going to pay the same thing in one country as we're going to pay it in the other.
And how? Yeah, he knows you're saying that, but how you do that sounds like a bunch of hippy-dippy baloney, as I think Stuart Varney is.
And we're going to stop subsidizing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't make the video come back. Beg your pardon.
Healthcare costs in Europe. So we are subsidizing.
We are subsidizing. It is true. We've got to stop subsidizing. You guys need to stop subsidizing, and don't think I can't see you. Pull up your pants.
Socialized medicine in Europe on the backs of U.S. patients.
We're not. We're not. We aren't subsidizing them. They're buying in bulk because they're not afraid to make that arrangement.
Going bankrupt to pay these prices. The number one cause of bankruptcy in this country now is healthcare costs.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not the fucking drugs. It's the hospital costs. I already showed this before. Okay, so those of you who weren't with us this morning, if I may return to what I was talking about before, let's pop this thing up. There we go. Where is the healthcare? There it is. Okay. I pointed this out this morning. But drugs in the United States, are they an important part of the thing? Is there something to be done? Absolutely. But 5% of patients in the country constitute 50% of the drug spending. 50%. Acute use is 25, chronic is 75. This adds life and health to people. If you take away these things, these people will die. And if you're complaining that we're spending more on life extension, then make your case why people should just die after they quit their job, I suppose. Okay, so true fact. Okay, then let me see if I can pop this over here, Navigator. And I was going to show you this earlier. This is excluding Ozempic. These are the biggest drugs in the world. Boink. There we go. Cancer, some heart medications. There's a COVID one in here. There's a couple of MABs, but that's Trulicity way down here. What are you doing, Trulicity? Maybe it's because your name sounds like a travel app. But all these drugs, whatever, the number one is an anti-cancer drug. It's something you take during the period you have cancer. It's very expensive because they don't make a lot of it because the number of people who have active cancer that needs it is small compared to the people who have other illnesses and all that kind of stuff. You thought Coke added life? It says Coke is life. I mean, it's right there on the label. All right. So these are the main ones minus Ozempic, which is right. I think it's third. It's right after Humira. Okay. Now, let me show you this. Okay. Here you go. As of 2023, drug costs make up 9.2% of healthcare costs in the United States. Less than 10% of our healthcare spending is on drugs. Is it a big amount of money? Of course it is. The entire amount of all this shit, somewhere between 4.6 and 4.9 trillion dollars, keeping people alive well beyond their expiration date is how the maggots think of it. But this is hospital care and physician clinical services, which overlap and are together, are the single biggest expenditures by far. Retail prescription drugs are third in this list, but they're fourth if you don't count the miscellaneous charges down here. No question drugs cost a lot. No question that this needs to be solved. That's why Democrats and like Bernie have been talking about this forever. But it's not going to solve the problem. Most of the people who end up going bankrupt, it isn't because, even though the drugs are an expensive part of their treatment, it isn't because of the drugs. Drugs are why people skip meals. The expense of a drug is why people don't go on vacations or save money when they should be spending it, or don't buy presents for each other or clothes, or they have to make a decision between paying their electric bill and their drugs. That's different. But the one that bankrupts people entirely, they look at a bill and they're like, holy shit, it's going to the hospital and being treated by a doctor, oftentimes while you're under sedation. Right? And you wake up with this bill. That's the part that's wiping people out. And they're not addressing this at all. And they're not going to, because there's no press in it. And most hospitals are squeezed anyways. And you want to get middlemen out? How about this? How about get rid of the insurance companies in this process, and you'll shave a shit ton off of this. How about this? How about let people who don't live in Massachusetts buy into their single payer program? How about don't let people who don't live in Washington buy into their single payer system, and therefore all the profits go to those states and help them pave roads and pay for schools and their electrical grid and shit like that. And then other states will want to follow suit. And then bing, bang, boom, you've got national health care, but you have multiple states to choose from that you can be a part of. Okay. So this idea, is it necessary? Yes. Have we been talking about it forever? Yes. Is it the be-all, end-all of getting rid of the debt that wipes people out? No, it's fucking not. Here's a breakdown of the remaining other stuff. The fourth category that is that's higher than the cost of drugs. administrative costs and net costs of health insurance, investment, research, structures, and equipment. So this right here, that number right there, you know how they're always telling you that it's R&D and that they need the money for R&D, which is true, that's how much of it is. It's 1/7 of the 15% that is not categorized. Up here, you got non-durable and durable medical equipment. If you need a respirator or you're somebody's, a new tube for your iron lung, some sort of like home hose system,
Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
The kind of device you'd use to.
Moon River.
So these costs right here. How about the cost of medical devices? The manufacture of those. Why is it the drugs? Because the drugs are small and they seem like they don't take a lot compared to a junction thing for a trach, a junction seal for a trach, right?
And we have all these Americans who, we're getting them better, but then they are bankrupt and they have no money in order to subsidize price controls in Europe. So President Trump is going to get rid of the price controls.
You said that some of your children...
Again, that's just, you can't get rid of other people's price controls. You can't do it. You can't.
Some of whom are Bernie Sanders supporters, were moved to tears by this announcement. It occurs to me that basically you've stolen the Democrat issue. You've just taken it away from them and you've done it yourself.
Yeah, when the Democratic Party, I grew up with the centralists. We were against NAFTA, and President Trump has now stolen that from them.
Yeah.
We were...
Why? By making USMCA, which sucked, which was worse? No, he hasn't. USMCA was not an improvement on NAFTA at all. The factories didn't start coming back. There was no fucking, carrier facility. There was no Foxconn. It was all bullshit.
We were against. We were skeptical toward big ag and big pharma, and President Trump has stolen that from them. And the major fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' campaign has been, we are going to equalize drug prices in Europe and the United States. He was never able to do it because of the power of the pharmaceutical lobby.
No, he was never able to do it because of Republicans.
No Republican or Democrat has been able to do it, but we have a president.
Well, then it's not a Democratic idea. Again, there are no partisan issues. There are only partisan solutions. And the Republicans have decided that the Democratic solution for this is the only way you can do anything about it. They don't have another plan. Is there a Trump healthcare plan somewhere where he just made up a new way to solve this?
And I pointed this out. President Trump took $100 million from pharma. He can't be bought. And he is doing, he's doing something. He is standing up for the American people.
What are you talking about? He's guaranteeing that their most lucrative drugs are added to Medicare and Medicaid, and that we will not negotiate bulk prices for Medicare and Medicaid.
Stuart, and I think, even my kids who are pretty left wing see that, and they were very moved by it.
Mr. Secretary, it looks like you're having a lot of fun in your job these days, and it was a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Well, he doesn't have measles, so I guess that's there's an upside to that. So the point I'm trying to make is, if this was terrible for the pharmaceutical industry, and this was like, wow, we're really coming to get them, do you think their stocks would look like that after this announcement, while he's on the air? If Merck and Pfizer and Eli Lilly and Bristol Myers Squibb and Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca and all these companies felt like, oh shit, time's up, bitches. Do you think their investors would buy more stock in this situation? If they thought, our days of the gravy train is over. This is just for show. This is an executive order for a committee to review and suggest some things that we may or may not do in 30 days. And then after those 30 days, within 6 months, we will propose something to the Congress that they will punt and it will never make it through. And we get, Trump can forget about it. And then pharmaceutical companies, like a couple of their drugs will come on, they'll reach the scheduled point of being generic or available as a generic, or they'll cut a deal for one of them to be able to, be available to Medicare and Medicaid so they can guarantee a certain number of units and it becomes the normal treatment, like Ozempic or Wegovy, that those will be the primary ones. And then they'll sell them on the open market at a higher price, both in Europe and here. Because, again, what happened here? Somebody signed an executive order. There was an executive order on DACA. How secure do those kids feel these days?
Come back soon, please. RFK.
Go pound sand. So, anyways, that was after that little get-together. And then, of course, I don't know if, you guys have seen this, lady. The puppy killer, Jesus Christ. Like at a certain point, you're like, is it colored contacts? Yeah. How it's been put out that the FBI is going to spend at least a third of their time on immigration. Economic crimes will get put in the back. Maybe, but I think what they'll do in terms of immigration is they're going to go allegedly chase down terrorists that snuck into the country. I'm going with colored contacts on this all the time. I don't know anybody's like pupils who maintain that level of dilation all the time. Maybe it's just what happens when Jesus enters your soul. So,
Senator Capito.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member, and it's great to see you, Secretary.
This one, by the way, is called Secretary Kristi Noem warns DHS isn't scanning many shipping containers coming into the United States. Well, A, since that's where most of the fentanyl comes in, maybe you should. And B, your job is pretty easy now because there's a lot fewer fucking containers coming in, wouldn't you say?
Noem, and it was a pleasure to serve with you in the House for so many years. I just want to make a statement in the beginning because this chart, which you can't see, but many of us have seen, the blue lines being the number of people that were coming across the border during the Biden administration, and then the red is what you and the president have done over the last 3 months.
Right. The border is closed. Nobody is coming in. And yet, after the border was closed, biggest fentanyl bust in history. Real quick, how the fuck does the biggest amount of fentanyl ever cross the border after it's closed? Why wouldn't you have... all right.
Say congratulations. Results speak loudly. Not only are migrant encounters down 95%, but
fentanyl is way up.
Gotaways are down 99%. To put it simply, migrants are just not slipping through.
Or they're not coming anymore because the right-wing support structure that drove them up here in the first place is no longer paying migrants to charge the fence, essentially, which is what they did all during the Trump administration, both through China and Russia and other malign actors and the right-wing supporters of them who put ads in South American papers and arrange for people to come up and try to entice people to make a run for it, flood the airwaves. Anytime they watch the news, all you heard Republicans on the news say was, the border's wide open and they'll let anybody in. That's over now, so...
Not evading our...
Am I saying it was theater? I'm saying it was theater.
Border Patrol. I boil it down to two basic strategies that the administration has done that the previous administration could have done but totally ignored. One is deterrence. When possible illegals look to the United States and see that we are following through on deportation orders in larger numbers, I think that's it.
Biden deported more than Trump did in his first term. Term to term, Biden did far more. He was just not a dick about it. I think that's what you mean. Just be a dick about it. Be mean and evil and scare people away. You need a moat with alligators politically. But Trump's not on track to even beat Biden's last year in office.
Huge deterrence along with other things that are occurring. The other one is enforcement of the law. You already just said that. So is there anything else you would add specifically, very shortly, that you can attribute this dramatic drop? You're being accused of breaking the law, and that's the reason the numbers are down. I personally don't believe that.
Well, I think
No, I think the numbers being down because of the lack of deportations around the border is a sharp drop off. There's also people calling bullshit on the fact that there are supposedly 25 million people running around the country illegally, and you haven't been able to round them up. So you're grabbing babies with cancer and people who are married and have put their past behind them, who have American children and American spouses, and you're putting them in El Salvador in prisons. That's the issue we have.
having a strong leader in the White House that says we will enforce our laws in this country has worldwide effects. In fact, in where I have traveled to countries in El Salvador, Mexico, and Colombia, their leaders and their governments said, when you talk about the fact that you are now enforcing the laws in America, when your president talks about it, when we see these ads that are running in our country saying, if you want to come to the country and America illegally, don't come. Come the legal way, do the right way. We are now enforcing our laws. They say it has an overwhelming effect. In fact, in Mexico, some government officials, when I was there visiting with them and the president, said that they believe 500 to 600,000 people just in Mexico turned around before they ever got to our border in the last 3 months because
they weren't being paid by the Russians to march towards the border anymore?
they got the message clearly when they were on their way. They heard that and they went back home. Also, I would say Border Patrol is thrilled. They get to finally do their jobs.
Right.
They get to finally, the morale has never been better. Recruitment is fantastic. ICE is recruiting.
Yeah, they got a bunch of Jan 6ers they can pull to the front lines.
He's up 54%. I'd say the Coast Guard is up over 100% in recruitment, and the Secret Service is up over 200%. So,
yeah, but neither of those are really dealing with, I mean, are there that many like Cuban rafts anymore? Coast Guard's dealing with drug trafficking, not immigration.
the fact that they have an administration that's letting them do their jobs again and actually following the law is something they're very proud of. And so I think those two things are really what's making them proud.
Okay, you and I talked about this on the phone because of the drug scourge, the non-intrusive inspection, which is a lot of the technologies that can.
Oh, you mean the stuff that was in the Biden border bill that you guys passed on that you didn't want? That stuff?
Detect in large, when semis are coming through, there's a whole lot coming through the border, and we want to continue that free flow of goods. Where are you on that in this budget? Certainly you need more dollars to be able to...
Yeah, it's funny. If you guys had actually passed that fucking bill, you'd have all the funding for it you needed.
I think the numbers are low. How many you actually inspect or have been inspected? You need the technology
yeah, our
to move
ports of
forward.
entry need new technology and scanners that we just simply aren't scanning many shipping containers right now adequately. A lot of our air freight isn't scanned. Some of these scanners that we have in place.
Yeah, but so what? I mean, I always thought there was just people bringing like bags of fentanyl in their backpacks across, just hoofing it, right? It was just all these dirty Mexicans bringing drugs, right, lady? Isn't that the whole point? So you cut down on immigration next to zero, and still you have a major drug problem. Maybe it was never them?
Need infrastructure around them so that they work in the heat and in the rain. Sometimes they're dysfunctional and shut down. We have railroad cars coming in that aren't getting inspected, and then small packages. Small packages every day that are being shipped in by the millions that we are not inspecting at all. So the kind of technology needs that we have to invest in are costly, but they're secure our country. And when we have...
Again, yes, all of this was in the bipartisan border bill. Yeah, all the funding for that was in there.
In a foreign enemy country like China and the PRC that's trying to kill off our next generation of Americans.
Why wasn't she at the trade negotiation?
Which is what they're doing to weaken our economy and our society. Those upgrades and that technology advancement will incredibly help us make sure that we know what's coming into this country and it's not a poison that will be killing our kids and our next generation.
Certainly have my support with that. I did chair this subcommittee at one point with the ranking member. He was chairing and I was ranking, so we're getting to know each other very well.
That's adorable.
You have my support there. I do want to say, and I am concerned about the FEMA issue. Coming from a small state that is subject to a lot of natural disasters, flooding in most cases, FEMA, my experience with FEMA, has it been flawless? Has it been, a smooth road? No, but I think it's a vital function. And I'm concerned if we turn it all over to the states, capacity for the state to really handle this.
So what you're saying is you want, hold on. I'm not familiar with it. Shelley Moore from West Virginia. Yep, there you go. Senator Shelley Moore. Oh, Capito, yeah. From Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia. So what she's saying, in case you're confused, is Senator Capito wants blue states to continue funding West Virginia's survival in case it has emergency disasters. Because, if we got money to spend on drugs, we got money to spend on bailing them out, I guess. Is that the idea?
Is something that, so I would ask you to tread lightly. I don't really need a response there, but I do want to put on the record here that I am concerned about, I do think we need a national response to disasters. Does it look just like FEMA? I hope,
Grow the fuck up. Stop it. Stop with this get rid of FEMA stuff. Fish stinks from the head. If you can't run it right, it's your ass. If it was run wrong, then fix it. But the idea that we don't need a unifying response for the states when a state like yours can't fucking afford to bail out their own fucking canoe is idiotic. The blue states are more than charitable when it comes to this shit. Stop fucking around, and if you think FEMA isn't running right, then run it right. Show us, Mr. fucking businessman, somebody who's like, I was in the corporate arena for years, and I know a thing or two about how things should be run efficiently and to the highest, because a for-profit scheme where we find these things will show you how to, like, if I balance my budget the way this is ridiculous. Like, fuck you, it's FEMA. Fix it. It's bigger than you. Have some fucking responsibility. If you say FEMA's a wreck and you can't do anything with it, it has nothing to do with the organization. The existence of the organization makes total sense on paper. It makes total sense in the field. If you can't run it, you can't run shit. Get out.
I hope the changes that are made will be able to have them to be able to react quickly and to help our state and local resources. I did invite you to the Advanced Training Center where we do training for Border Patrol. Look forward to seeing you there, and thank you very much.
It's just exciting. I gotta run for Senate. I gotta move to a tiny fucking state and run for Senate. That's all. That's it. Fuck this nonsense. I'm from Kentucky more than Rand Paul is. I'm gonna have to move in with my dad, set up my address there, and run for office there. Cause holy shit. What the hell? Now, speaking of a small state with a Republican, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Thune, the majority leader in the Senate. He's from the state of South Dakota, which has I think has the 48th lowest GDP in the country. Out of 50 states, it's 48 in its output. It's got a population about a third the size of Chicago, the entire fucking state, and it gets 2 senators, all to its fucking lonesome. 2. Somebody, I would love to ask somebody from North Dakota, South Dakota, I'd like to ask them this kind of a question. What the ever-loving hell? How do you look in the mirror and say we need to be fiscally responsible when the federal tax dollars are paying your salary and you represent a state that is mostly antelope and coal mines and there's barely anybody in it? Why should a suburb have 2 senators? Because that's what it is. A lot of these states are suburbs of real states. Jesus. Yeah, it's about 4 blocks of Manhattan. It's exactly right. So this is for all those folks, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is for all those folks that, he does look tired. It's rough being him right now. this is for all those folks that say the Democrats aren't doing anything. They're not doing anything. And that's largely because you don't watch enough C-SPAN. But on top of that, you'll see that occasionally you'll see Crockett say something. You'll see, Moskowitz, or you'll see Dan Goldman say something, or you'll see Schiff say something, or whatever. You'll see these people do stuff when little snippets, but they're there every day, all day, doing this stuff. And I want to give you, this is like he's providing us with a little Whitman sampler of what he's up against with the Democrats in the Senate.
Mr. President, in order to place the bill on the calendar under the provision of Rule 14, I would object to further proceeding.
Objections heard. The item will be placed on the calendar.
Mr. President, before I begin, I want to mention longtime Supreme Court Justice David Souter, who died on Thursday. My thoughts and prayers are with him.
He skipped past this whole
I look forward to seeing this bill. On the Genius Act, Democrats abruptly ended Pope. I'm very happy for them.
Okay, so he says that about that, and he said about David Souter, and he talks about the Pope. Now we get to the actual issue.
I look forward to seeing what this son of the Midwest brings to the Catholic Church and to the world.
The Pope.
Mr. President, on Thursday afternoon, Democrats abruptly ended extensive bipartisan work on the Genius Act and filibustered the Senate's attempt to move this bill. Democrats, Did
you know that? Guys, did you know that? Tara, did you know that? Did you guys know that? Did you know they filibustered another bill? Okay.
Say who had voted for the bill in committee inexplicably chose to vote against it here on the Senate floor.
Huh. So they voted for it to go through committee, but you did not have their votes to vote for the full thing. That's interesting, because amendments are meaningful, and you promised that there would be an amendment process, and then there wasn't, and you were like, well, then fuck you. Maybe that was the explanation that is inexplicable to you. Perhaps.
Mr. President, that's pretty difficult to understand.
No, it's not. Stuff goes out of committee all the time with the idea that once it reaches the floor, there'll be open debate about it, there'll be all kinds of stuff, and then you try to crowbar it fucking through because you think you can force the vote, and it doesn't work. Because you thought you were counting their votes without their modifications that would happen. Because they're outnumbered in the committee anyways, and it would be passed on a party line vote, so they'll vote for it, but with the idea that they're showing comity and they want to work with you, and so they're gonna, when the bill hits the floor.
Providing a regulatory framework for stablecoins is a bipartisan issue. The bill is the product of a bipartisan negotiation. And the vote in the Banking Committee was definitely bipartisan, which leads you to wonder, of course,
what happened between the vote in the Banking Committee and Trump's fucking dick coin deal with the Qatari royal family? Oh, wait.
Of course, if this was really about the bill at all,
or about the fact that Trump just did a $2 billion deal with his stablecoin as a way of circumventing the U.S. dollar and avoiding laws about the Logan Act and, about the Emoluments Clause, rather.
Or if this was about wanting to deny President Trump, or Republicans more generally, a legislative victory, which might be...
Well, if it's bipartisan, why would it be a Republican legislative victory? Why would it be a victory for the American people?
Nice for Democrats, but leave stablecoin issuers and Americans who use stablecoins in the...
Oh, you mean human traffickers and pimps and pushers and violent extremists and televangelists with mistresses kept in high-rise apartment buildings? Sorry, you were saying something about some reason you'd need a currency that isn't trackable like U.S. funds to buy stuff normally back and forth because everybody needs that. Sure.
Difficult spot that they're currently in. But unfortunately, it's pretty clear that obstructing, not legislating, is the Democrats' priority right now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they kind of got limited options, but sure. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. By the way, Democrats nailed it.
Mr. President, until Democrats come to their senses and allow us to proceed to the Genius Act, we're going to turn to nominations, another area where, unfortunately, Democrats have made obstruction the name of the game.
Boom! I would like to, again, everybody who's like, the Democrats aren't doing nothing. Ta-da! All day, every fucking day.
I certainly understand that Democrats are not going to support all the president's nominees. That's their prerogative as senators.
It's my prerogative. Sorry.
But the way that they are drawing out this process on even non-controversial nominations.
Huh. Are they now? So they're just drawing the process out. They're just slowing the whole system, are they? It sounds downright McConnell, if I do say so myself, but
is serving no one.
Well, I feel served, personally.
7 out of the 58 of the president's civilian nominees have required cloture votes, an unprecedented number for recent administrations.
Huh. You don't say. So what you're telling me is Democrats, every time you guys put somebody forward, even if they're non-controversial, even if they know this person's better than the alternative or isn't as crazy and maggoty as Trump might want, but they might be effective and stuff or whatever, even if they would vote for him because compared to the fucking hair on fire lunatics, you know, the Pam Bondis and the Kash Patels of the world, these people are pretty lukewarm nobodies that are just for standard, you know, perfunctory roles. They're not going to fuck up the entire country. They don't even have the power to do it. And even those folks, Democrats are slow rolling those sons of bitches every chance they get. I've just can I get an amen from the chat room? Can I get a amen? Because there seems to be this idea out there surrounding. There you go. Everybody around, you know, in the Democratic world, like, they're not. No, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it ain't being done. And it's not even like the hidden stuff, right? They're doing it in the open. It's just not getting to, you know, nightly television. It's not getting its, you know, even Maddow can't cover all of this shit. Amen. All right. Amen. God bless you. Yes. So I just want to clarify that, you know, because there seems to be a lot of people who don't think this is happening. This is happening. Let me just play that last little bit for him.
The 58 of the president's civilian nominees,
57 out of 58,
have required cloture votes.
Have required cloture votes.
An
57 out of 58.
Unprecedented number for recent administrations. And of those 57 nominees, 17 received 60 or more votes in support on their final confirmation vote. In other words,
right. Even though they were going to get 60 votes or more, the Democrats slowed everything down with every procedure they could without shutting down the government, just shy of totally chucking a monkey wrench in the gears.
Support from a number of Democrats as well as Republicans.
Yes, it would.
And yet, Democrats dragged out those nominations in the same way they dragged out the nominations of individuals that they universally opposed.
I just want to be in the back of that room, just. Excellent. Glad to hear it. This is good. Yeah.
Not a single one.
Nope.
Of President Trump's civilian nominees has been confirmed by unanimous consent or voice vote.
Not a fucking one. Even the ones that were passed by 60 votes. All of them had to go completely through the longest procedure you could possibly put forward when you're in the minority. Right?
Again, something entirely unprecedented.
Ouch. Boo, fuckity-hoo.
In recent years. No other president since at least 1977 has failed to have civilian nominees confirmed by unanimous consent or voice vote at this point of his administration.
Okay, so basically, nobody's been this big of a dick to a president since you guys were a dick to Jimmy Carter. Fuck you. This is for Jimmy, bitches. I don't know what to tell you. Right? That's for Jimmy. It's like the inaugural, We'll call this getting the Jimmy.
except for President Trump in his first term in office.
Again,
And as I said, this is serving no one, Mr. President.
Again, I feel served. I do. Thank you, Alyosha.
Nor is this going to prevent the president's nominees from getting confirmed.
Well, but it will slow down the roll of other shit. And if there's something terrible coming, if you can put that off as long as possible so that people get a grip on, what a piece of shit he is, and he starts to lose favor with his own voters, then it gets harder for him to get the harder stuff through that he was maybe planning for later on this year. So it serves, a lot.
Democrats can drag out nominations all they want.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, we're going to drag out nominations all we want. So just for the record, we got permission from the honorable gentleman from the suburb of South Dakota, who is yet to answer that deep and abiding question, that philosophical question that I think we're all wondering, why the fuck do we need 2 Dakotas? Anybody? Anybody?
But we're going to fill out the president's administration and ensure that his nominees get into place so that they can do the job and that he can do the job that he was elected to do.
You don't seem excited about him doing the job. And he can do the job that he was elected to do. Fuck.
I'd like to do this easy way and confirm non-controversial nominees expeditiously.
How about you can expeditiously go fuck yourself? How about that?
In batches. For example...
Batches? Batches? We don't need no stinking batches. Fuck off with your batches.
And maybe even by unanimous consent. That would give us more time to legislate and give members more time to spend in their states.
Yeah, you seem real excited to get home.
But if we have to do this the hard way, we will.
Okay. My guess is we are going to have to.
Moon River.
The hard way.
We're going to get the president's team in place. So I guess, Mr. President, Democrats have some decisions to make.
Already made them. Thanks. There's plenty of seats. Take any one of them.
I really hope, that they'll come back to the table on the Genius Act.
Yeah, guess not.
And I hope that they will cease their pointless obstruction of bipartisan nominees.
Well, don't get your dick caught in the hope door on your way out.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Yes. See you next Tuesday.
Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
We're getting the fuck out of here. I'm done. You done? Fuck this. I'm gonna go yell at a fucking field of trees. The Genius Act is their stupid, acronym name for the, for their, stablecoin bill. It's really annoying. You're gonna vote against Genius? If the, okay, yeah. Yeah, this is, they call it the, well, where the fuck is the name? The Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. That's what it's called. Oh, God. What a bunch of assholes. Yes, the Genius Act. This act may be cited as the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act of 2025. Oh, God. Derp. Oh, my God. So congrats to all the Democrats who stiffed this nonsense. In this act, there's the Bank Secrecy Act. Gee, I can't imagine what that would be good for people who are drug traffickers, human traffickers, or being bribed or whatever. There's a board, there's a comptroller. There's a comptroller regulated entity. There's a corporation. The term corporation means the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. All right, the FDIC. Digital asset. Here's the word distributed ledger, which is your little bank, your digital wallet that you carry your coins in. Federal Qualified Non-Bank Payment Stablecoin Issuer. The term Federal Qualified Non-Bank Payment Stablecoin Issuer means a non-bank entity, sure, approved by the Federal Payment Stablecoin Regulator pursuant to Section 5 to issue the payment stablecoins, institutions affiliated by party, insured depository. So it establishes a bunch of shit. The monetary value of a stablecoin is that it's pegged to the dollar. That's how they do it, which is the funniest thing about the fucking BRICS coin. And I'm like, how the fuck do you have a competing coin with the dollar if it's pegged to the fucking dollar? You got to make sure the dollar stays strong or your stupid stablecoin dies, stupid. Yeah. All my coins are unstable. I don't think I have one in here. Hold on. I'll don't. Just got a big one. Yeah, there you go. This is. And yet. Ben's. Yeah. That's the. Let's see if we can get this here. That's my stable coin. There it is. My coins are so loose. I'm sorry. They're around for a reason. This is true. It is very nice, and it glows in the dark. All right, now, okay. We'll get to the trade stuff in a second. We dealt with a little bit with this other stuff, but I want to get to this because I don't know what the fuck. There's two panic things going on, and we're going to jump back and forth. I think they're from the same episode, maybe. And apparently, I don't know if you know how I love. Okay, let me start this way. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Subscribe, will you? For fucking the darg. For darga. I always like being told what I'm thinking. Don't you? Don't you like it when somebody goes, the left thinks that, or the Democrats think, or liberals think, and you're like, oh wow, you've nailed it. I'm exactly like focused on that 100%. That is, how'd you figure that out? So, if I may, apparently we have a plan. I did not know. I mean, I know Besant has a plan and then an execution and then a flop and then a fall down or whatever. But apparently Democrats have a plan, and it's to throw Elon Musk in prison. Now, I don't think we'd mind it, but I don't see how. Well, we'll see. What Democrats support dangerous plan to jail Elon Musk. A new poll found that 71% of Democrats now want to put Elon Musk in jail for what he's done with President Trump. And if that's not insane enough, they want to imprison the guy who's done the most for their climate crusade in modern history. The 71 actually voted for designing a new jail from Elon Musk. Okay, how far are you going to... All right, I don't know. Like it's like a transcript in this thing.
71% of Democrats now say that this person should go to prison.
Yes, and by the way, Elon Musk has effectively broken into the private information of all Americans and made off with that insofar as we know, including bringing people in that had addresses pinging from Russia onto their computers while they were in the Treasury, while they were at Social Security offices, while they were at different secure sites in government. So that's why. Yeah.
Who is that person? Besides Donald Trump.
I was going to say, only 70%. It can't be Trump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who?
I believe I know the answer to this.
Who is it?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
Elon frickin' Musk. They now want to put Elon Musk in prison.
The guy that saved the climate?
Saved the climate. Single-handedly did more for climate than anybody else on the planet yet.
What? Why is he singled out for climate? Because he has an electric car company? I mean, he doesn't sell as many units as Ford does.
Dare I see it, even more than Al Gore.
Wow.
Yeah.
The guy who invented the internet?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I will say, if you're looking at this honestly, with the left-wing calculus, right? It is.
Yes, thank you. Stu, tell us all what our calculus is, how we thought this up.
It's impossible to disagree with that he's done more than anyone else. I mean, he basically took electric cars from nothing, for no one wanted them, no one had them, and built the world's largest car company out of it.
Okay, it's by no means the world's largest car company at all. They've made less than 2 million cars. They don't even chart with the big three. It's not even close. Again, his biggest factory is in China. His biggest competitor over there uses this. He buys their batteries. No, not even close. And you know who we have to thank for the existence of Tesla right now? Barack Obama, because if he hadn't added electric car bailout money to the bailout of the big three, which was part of the thing the Democrats, including Obama, were insisting on, you wouldn't even know who the fuck Elon Musk is. He'd be right in that category like Peter Thiel and some of the more like, or Sam Altman. You kind of know their names if you really dug into that stuff, but you wouldn't know it any otherwise.
Not to mention what he's done with SpaceX, which also has a massive climate motivation. Yeah. Not to
No, it doesn't.
Mention what he did with, what is it, Solar City, the solar company, that, solar roofs and solar panels. I mean,
Right, the boondoggle, you mean? So he could sell battery systems?
How many conservatives do we know that either own Teslas or
all of them
have solar on their house now, or both?
Yeah,
and not because of the conservative turn necessarily to Elon Musk, which is part of it lately, but because he was the first person that actually made it work.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. Also, we did a whole. I want to say this was 2 fucking years ago. We did a video of Glenn having problems with the new solar system he was putting on his house. It wasn't a Tesla system. He was just goofy. And he was getting subsidies from fucking Biden to do it like everybody else, and he was taking advantage of them.
No, it's just so you know, so you don't get all down in the mouth. When I say they want to put him in prison, you might say, what's the logical question there? 71% of Democrats want to put him in prison. The logical question is,
why? What did he do? What's the crime?
Yeah. No, it's actually 71% of Democrats now want to pass a law that puts him into prison.
Oh.
Yeah. So just when you thought it was bad, no, it's much
worse. They want to retroactively put him in prison, not for a crime he committed, but for one they can make him commit, essentially.
They are for...
How many of you think this is going down, we're all going to go on a ride in a canoe down Bullshit Creek?
A unidentified, nondescript law that would put him in prison. Wow! How far are you going to fall, Democrats, before you realize I might be on the wrong side? You now are for coming up with a law where the objective is put that guy in jail. I think there's no way to defend that. I'm just working.
Well, I'll give you an example. At one point, spousal rape wasn't a thing. Sexual assault of a stranger was a thing, but you could not sexually assault your spouse legally in most states. And people used to do that. And so you go, when you're like, there ought to be a law to throw people like that in jail, it eventually happened. When they recognized, wow, this is an area of crime we don't have a law to deal with. The phrase, there ought to be a law, came from somewhere. Perhaps. Now, Let's see if he can figure out which part of it. And again, I don't even know what poll he's referring to. That's how shitty the Glenn Beck show is. This is their clip they put together. One would think that if you're doing this kind of tease in, you would kind of go to what the premise of this poll was or how they were
on
asked.
it just off the top of my head here, but I don't think I could find a way to would you ask Grok or ChatGPT, how could I defend creating a law whose objective is only to put Elon Musk in jail?
A lot of people don't
know this, but I'm a complete waste of time. I used to golf, but then no one wanted to hang out with me anymore. You can see me way in the back of this picture. But that's why I started pretending that I'm a paper doll from New York. And I eat bag of dried vegetables. Who wants to eat blueberries and apples and avocados in their natural state when you can have them ground into a fine powder and snort them?
I have to ask Grok that question. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Give me a defense of a law that
of right.
Jesus Christ, man, get over yourself.
Reading a law whose only objective is to put Elon Musk in jail. Let's see what Grok has to say, because I don't even think Grok could come up with it. Hopefully the answer is, I can't justify that.
I'm going to get no.
Yeah, it won't answer it that way, stupid.
Oh, no, my Twitter account's going to get no reach after I type this sentence, but I'll
No,
do
watch.
it anyway.
I bet you it will come up with something. It doesn't. It plays fair with Elon Musk. It won't defend him.
No, I know. I'm just saying some part of this algorithm's going to pick up.
Is this the fucking show now? They just ask fucking AI questions?
I'm trying to put Elon Musk in jail.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not going to get any retweets for a month. Defending a law with the sole objective of jailing Elon Musk is a tough sell. But let's give it a shot by framing it in a way that might appeal to reason while acknowledging the obvious pitfalls. The argument hinges on principles of accountability, deterrence, and symbolic justice, though it's riddled with issues that might make it more of a thought experiment than a practical proposal. First, such a law could be pitched as a response to concentrated power. Musk's influence through wealth or control of companies like Tesla.
Oops. You're actually stepping into an area where you might agree with it, stupid.
SpaceX.
That's how they'd have to do it. You'd have to go, well, no, it's about concentrated power.
And
that was not the question in the poll. That is not the question in the poll.
Then what's the fucking question in the poll, asshole?
Question in the poll is, would you support the designing of a law to put Elon Musk in jail?
That is, again, this is why we harp on.
Where the fuck is this? Highlights for kids? What is this? Does Breitbart have a coloring book?
Principles and foundations so much. Because no matter what the name is in that sentence, the answer is always no. Like the principle of the moment, you'd have to know that at the beginning, right? When you hear a sentence like that, you should reflexively say absolutely not, regardless of who the person is.
No, not regardless of who the person is. And I will stand up. All right, how about the credit default swap guys, the guys who created credit default swaps? And you're like, these guys committed a crime. This was a form of fraud. We just don't have a direct law in the books to address this kind of fraud. We need to specify what's illegal about this, because we can throw them in jail for fraud in general, but they'll weasel their way out because how they sold stuff and how they tricked people into doing stuff or what it was leveraged against was all out in the open but hidden in certain areas because they're protected by LLC rules and shit like that. So we need a law specifically so we can throw the fucking Enrons of the future in jail. And that anybody who tries to buy the presidency in the future can go to jail. That's the point.
What winds up happening with a lot of people on the left, and I think it's a problem on the right to a lesser extent, is do I like the name that it was mentioned? Do I think bad things should happen to the person mentioned in the sentence? Like if we were to flip that around and say, do you support a law would throw, George Soros in prison? I do not support a law that was created with the sole design to put George Soros in prison. If George Soros broke a law, he should go to prison.
Absolutely.
But I do not support a law created to put him in prison.
No.
Even though I really don't like him. Now, look, you get to the LeBron James territory, I might go along with you.
But even with Soros, I would support a law that would say you cannot do these things.
In the future.
Yeah. And that means he has to stop doing those things.
Right. But he does not get in trouble.
Right. And that would be, I think, exactly what people were thinking with the Elon Musk stuff. Hashtag lock her up.
It is a principle of our country. You do not get in trouble for things that happened beforehand, right? You can't retroactively prosecute someone for a crime, for a law that was passed afterward. That, I think, is a fundamental principle of our country. And, of course, it should be applied equally to everyone. It shouldn't just be to one person because of his name.
Okay. What did you...
Yeah, but it's also... The issue is nobody else has the power or the money or the influence to do that kind of thing. Of course, they're talking about him in particular because there's not a second Elon Musk waiting in the wings.
What did Grok say? Because I just asked ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT's answer might be even better than Grok. Now, Grok is Elon Musk's own company.
Right, which is
all right,
why.
So what did it say at the beginning? What was the opening?
It said, defending a law with the sole objective of jailing Elon Musk is a tough sell, but let's give it a shot by framing it in a way that may appeal to reason while acknowledging the obvious pitfalls.
Listen to this. This is from ChatGPT. Okay. Legally and morally, it's extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to justify writing a law whose sole and explicit purpose is to imprison one individual, such as Elon Musk.
Look at that. ChatGPT, Sam Altman's company, and the one that most people use, is more ethically and morally capable than Grok is. Here's a good idea. How about you released an AI into the world that is immoral to a point of being dangerous on a computer level, at least in the virtual sense? How about that? Well, throw him in jail for Grok.
Out violating.
You could make a. How about this? You could make a car, and we don't find out until afterwards that you knew it was dangerous. But with cars, there are already rules about the standards. You could just slip those standards. But in AI, there are no standards. But you could knowingly make something that could be dangerous. So after the fact, you could put a law in place that says. You are liable for the lives lost and other kind of stuff because of a wanton indifference towards human life, but with creating a law that's specific to AI.
Core principles of justice, equality under law, and constitutional protections.
Yes.
However, if the question is to attempt an argument in favor of such a law as a rhetorical or theoretical exercise, here is the best possible version of that case, though it is inherently flawed and dangerous.
Right. And that's...
Listen to that.
Good.
You're right. I don't know why we need you on the air anymore, Glenn. Just let AI talk. It's got to be more interesting.
You know why? You know why AI is giving that answer? Because unlike you, so far... Unlike anybody of the 71% of Democrats who are like, yeah, I'd be for that.
Also, I don't know that this is a real thing.
Still using critical thinking. It still is saying, wait a minute, I have to check this against a couple of other things. I have to ask a couple of questions. Is that right to do? Is that constitutional to do? Does that support liberty and justice? And
well, maybe they're presuming those things within the confines of the poll. All things being equal, if it were possible, would you support it? Yes. Right?
And equality under the law, or is this just a totalitarian state? If you don't ask those critical thinking questions, you're like, yeah, I don't like Elon Musk. Put him in prison. Get the guillotine out. I want blood. It'll be great.
I think they just wanted him to go to jail at this point. I don't know. I think execution would have been a step too far. I'd love to see what the numbers are on that.
Great.
And by the way,
I'd also like to see the numbers on that versus how MAGA feels about Soros, I guess.
I will say, what you just heard us do is literally happening inside the halls of Washington right now.
What? Sorry. inside the halls of Washington, they are calling for a guillotine to cut off Elon Musk's head.
One of the things that's interesting about these programs, which are very, very good at what they do, is there used to be a line where a politician came up with a crazy idea, right? And they would prop it up there and they would say, hey, they would go to their attorneys and say, could we do this? And the attorneys would typically say, no, of course not. You can't do that.
Oh, you're talking about the White House then. Right.
What's happening now is everyone's got kind of an attorney in a box. And they're going to it and they're saying, hey, give me the best case possible for this policy, which we all know is insane. And it is providing that best case. It's not.
Yes, I know. I've seen the White House's AI-generated graphics.
Listen to the best case.
But they toss out all of the stuff you read already. Right? And then they bring that to the American people and try to get it to catch on. It is happening. You've heard examples of this. One example I'll give you of this is the one that Joe Biden did right at the end of his presidency when he just declared the Equal Rights Amendment passed. This is what they...
Real quick, Stu, why are you against the Equal Rights Amendment? And then we'll continue.
They go in there and they get...
It's a Rasmussen poll, you guys think? Yeah.
Some justification. It's not the justification, not the truth. It's a possible argument that could theoretically, maybe...
Jesus Christ, why don't you just have Rudy Giuliani on? Truth isn't truth, buddy. 71, let's see, percent of Dems, Elon Musk jail, something like that. Okay, this is a Rasmussen. This is the Rasmussen one. 71% of Democrats want Elon Musk in prison. Demographics. Conducted this. Harris, Trump didn't vote. Who? Trump approval. Do you very favorable someone impression of Elon Musk? Elon Musk helped create the Department of Doge. Some claim that Doge has engaged in unconstitutional activities while others support its efforts to reduce government. Would you support a hypothetical law that would ban Elon Musk from serving in government? Okay, that's not... Okay. Would you support a hypothetical law that would imprison Elon Musk for his role in Doge? I see. So yeah, if he's... Because I think hashtag Doge is a heist. They're not creating one just out of... Notice how Glenn is leaving the for his role in Doge part off? Do you notice that? Well, I don't like him. Get the guillotine. Notice they're leaving off that whole role in Doge. Hashtag Doge is a heist.
Be the truth, maybe. And then they just go to the public with it and try to enforce it. Now, it didn't work in that. Everyone just...
Which, by the way, to me means that... close. What he read was this. He read the top line of Rasmussen. He didn't read the actual... He didn't bother to fucking scroll down.
Ignored Joe Biden because they thought he was asleep as he was saying it. But it is a real concern now.
Okay, so listen to how it says. Listen, this is how you can do it. Okay, if I...
Oh God, fuck off! Didn't this guy asshole just tell us that that AI is going to kill us all and it's the mark of the beast? But you got to learn how to use it right. Jesus Christ. All right. On a sad note, we have a... I don't know, it's a funeral announcement, I guess, something sad. Comedy is officially dead, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Greg Gutfeld has a show called What Did I Miss?, which applies to every important detail of every story he's asked to comment on the 5, I think. They just decided to turn it into a game show. And Greg Gutfeld reveals details behind his new game show because, hey, game show is where you go to president next. Oh my, Jesus Christ. They have an AI host now?
You should know! Greg's got a sexy new show launching Monday exclusively on Fox Nation. Greg Gutfeld's What Did I Miss? Is a first of its kind.
Oh, God. Good Lord. The 4 question marks and his podium's an exclamation point. Oh, shit. I thought we'd hit bottom as far as game shows, but apparently not. Okay.
Game show with America's #1 late night host, Greg Gutfeld.
Whose show is in the early evening. literally, it's like on at 8 o'clock or something.
Contestants were housed in upstate New York for 90 days, completely cut off from the outside world. No phones, no TV, no internet. Upon returning, they had to figure out what actually did or didn't happen during their seclusion. Along with a little help from some familiar Fox faces. Here's a clip.
That is amazing. So, Jamie, what are your thoughts? So, you guys, the Battle of Buffalo happened when you guys were gone, but it was when they only delivered 3 cinnamon rolls to the set of The View.
That's a fat lady joke, in case you didn't notice. In case you got a bingo card or something.
So, this is absolutely false. And I hope you believe me in my tender eyes.
Is it fake? Okay, I don't think it's real. But also, do you think that Laura Trump would put her credibility on the line to make a video for a stupid, no offense, game show?
Probably.
This is true. Do you think that it's really? No, this absolutely happened. I can't believe you think it's too far that Trump would put troops in Canada for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
This absolutely happened. This is true.
So, any thoughts? 100% not true. Canadians don't own guns. They're too nice. They wouldn't shoot at anybody. They say sorry when they say hi. It never happened. 100% not true.
Good God. So they, let me try and understand this. So Fox, the news is such bullshit at Fox, they just decided to roll with it as a show. Right? That seems to be the plan now. This is effectively the game show version of Fox. Just make a bunch of shit up, like stir people up, make them think things happened that didn't. I mean, how is this different from all the other programming except the set is slightly dumber?
Sonny is so right. If you punch a Canadian in the face, they go, "Oh, sorry, my face was there."
That's it, Greg.
Jesus Christ.
Welcome to your show.
Thank you.
Okay.
He's even got notes for his own show.
Look.
So you can't memorize anything. So you just can't, what is it? Weed downers, what is it?
Fox showers you with money for doing easy shows like The Five. Why did you want to do this show, which seemed very difficult to produce?
Well, I do a lot of.
Oh, God. It's gonna be an attempt at a joke, isn't it? He's gonna try and make a joke right now. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna lead with what he thinks is a joke.
Charity and volunteer work with the orphans.
Yes, that's good.
And that was it. That was the whole fucking thing. That was the joke. That was the. It was a bit of verbal irony or sarcasm, I suppose.
And this young orphan, bald kid came up to me and he said, "Hey, superstar, would you do a game show?" And after I had security throw him out, I thought about it. And I thought, you know what? I grew up on game shows. I loved match.
Oh, fuck. God damn. Dude. I did a game show. I was 17.
Game, Hollywood Squares, To Tell the Truth, Password. And I always thought that would be Joker's Wild. That was a really cheap show. And I thought, I would love to do this. I bet I could be good at it. And the actual premise of it is amazing.
Yeah, everything that's amazing requires a hard sell like this.
To be able to lie to people about the news, it'd be like me working at CNN.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, again, it's a cell phone joke because you're already on Fox. Like that's going to be the obvious response. I mean, of course they're going to kick it to CNN or something like that, but the reality is it's just like a game show version of Jesse Waters.
It is. Is it a game show or is it a reality show? These people had to live in a house without any.
Bored. Boring. You're boring. It's boring. How do you take a game show, which is kind of relatively mindless fun, and make it fucking. This is what's happened, though. They've caught the car. That's what's happened, right? They caught the car. This is. When Democrats catch the car, Democrats are like, okay, on to the next car. When Republicans catch the car, They get dragged. That's what's happening. Eesh. Speaking of dragged, I know I'm already dreading this one. Help. 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 I don't know if I can do it. Jesus Christ. Nutlick was on after the Saturday meeting, before the Monday announcement, Nutlick's on Fox News saying, we're very, very focused on America's golden age coming.
Michigan gave us Motang.
All right. This, I no idea whether there'll be details or not. I still can't do the math. We tried to do it earlier this morning.
Joining us now, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Welcome and happy Mother's Day to everybody watching, and a special happy Mother's Day to my my beautiful wife.
Yes, appropriate way to start.
Isn't his mother alive? Isn't she like 97 or some shit? Right? Didn't he say my mother won't miss her? Holy shit, did she miss a Social Security check and she's no longer with us because without it, she didn't complain and therefore she starved to death? What the fuck?
Now let's dig into the business of the day, which is the talks in Switzerland with us and China. You have said, listen, this is going to take potentially dozens of talks. What can you tell us about managing expectations on a timeline when something could come together?
Well, Secretary Bessent has made it clear one of his objectives is to de-escalate. You know, 145% and 125% are really, those are kind of tariffs where you're not trading with each other. So he's there
kinda
to see if we can reset the conversation. And
that was his mother-in-law? Oh, so he didn't give a shit about his wife's mother then? But I'm sorry, you don't wish happy Mother's Day to your mother-in-law?
At it right now, so I'm going to leave it to him of how he deals with it. But that's the objective, to de-escalate.
I don't know that that's true. I thought that the objective, the escalation was caused by Trump specifically, right? So why does he have to meet with the Chinese to de-escalate? Why don't you talk to fucking Trump?
Well, the Wall Street Journal has said, too, that in our talks with other countries, and I know you're involved in many of getting these deals, trying to get them together, that
trying to get them together. Nice save.
part of it has been about pressuring these other countries when it comes to China. Here's what the Wall Street Journal reported. The idea is to extract commitments.
What would you know about pressure? Well, I have kissed a man.
From U.S. trading partners to isolate China's economy in exchange for reductions in trade and tariff barriers imposed by the White House. The idea being not to let China flood these other countries with their products or to relocate things to these areas where they would avoid U.S. tariffs. Are those part of your...
Which they are doing. One of the reasons why they didn't see a massive drop in exports is because they exported through Vietnam, through Cambodia, through other countries as proxies to get into the United States because we're still open with those guys.
Those themes.
No. You know, that's fake news. I mean, we are focused on...
Yeah, again, Wall Street Journal, fucking fake news.
Americans, right? The President Trump...
Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I've been saying that about Rupert Murdoch's papers since at least the late 90s, so...
Trump's idea is to bring the golden age back to America, to reshore manufacturing, to build here, to have those people who build here not pay any tariffs. And if you want to build overseas, okay, you'll pay tariffs and you'll be less competitive in America, so build here.
Well, you won't be less competitive because if your tariff ultimately ends up lower, and it will be, than what you would pay in terms of taxes in the United States, and the sales tax definitely gets passed on to people, why wouldn't you just stay overseas? Why wouldn't you continue to build in another country? It just raises the price of everything 10%, and fuck it. If everything's up 10%, nothing's up 10%. That's the problem with ubiquitous trade barriers. Because if it's all going up, who gives a shit where you build it? And if taxes in the United States and building and fees and all that kind of stuff amount to what's, costing you 12 to 25% over the process you're building it until such time you're actually producing things, and then Trump's not going to be fucking president then. So why bother? And then, why not raise your prices 12%? If your shit's better than what's being made in the United States, you'll make even more money on it anyways. You can afford to like raise it 12, give everybody a coupon. They think they're getting a deal.
I mean, that's the idea. Open your markets if you want to continue to, to not bring things home to America. Open your markets. Let our exporters sell to you. Finally, get some fair trade, and let's bring lots of manufacturing back to America. But we are not, under any circumstances, focused on China when we're talking to other countries. When we're talking to China...
Why are you even talking to those other countries comparatively? It's a statistical blip compared to China. China's something like 80% of our trade deficit. Why the fuck do we care about any of the rest?
Of course our trade team is focused on China, but when we talk to other countries, there was no conversation in the UK or India or Japan or any of these other countries about China. Leave China alone.
Nonsense. That's not the point, by the way. The point she was making is that while you're discussing it with these other countries, if they're buying stuff from China or they start buying more stuff, if you don't have some sort of like, hey, don't start buying a bunch of shit from China while we're in this fight with them and, basically giving them buoyancy that we don't have during this fight if you're on our side. That's the pressure she was talking about. He has no, I don't even know that he's aware of what she's saying.
We are trying to grow America.
Okay, so you mentioned the UK deal, a big feather in the cap of the administration. You were right.
Oh, yeah, totally. Now we can buy crumpets, yes, and they can buy our crumpets. We'll have a crumpet trade war, yeah?
Right there with the president as he's making this announcement. And it begs the question now about that 10% tariff. Is that going to be the baseline? Here's what the president said Friday.
But basically, you have a baseline of a minimum of 10%, and some of them will be much higher, 40%, 50%, 60%, as they've been doing to us over the years.
So those numbers may sound really good to China if you're talking about 145 or 80%, but how are those numbers landing with the other folks you're negotiating with?
So you saw on Liberation Day, the president
put
out a whole series of tariff rates. And then the objective is to bring manufacturing back to America.
Yeah, immediately. Holy shit. Oh yeah, I should have thrown that up there as well. Apologies. Hold on. Is that working? Why is that? Hold on, I have to check something. It's going to bother me while this nut warning business is up. Is this open? Is that why? That's why it doesn't want to do it. I think this is all right. Hold on. I'm just worried that...
Here I am like an idiot.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So, I gotta make the none thing go away. Go and scene. There you go.
And also lower those rates. So those countries, each of those countries can open their markets, make a more fair trading deal with America, allow Americans to export to their country. Finally, in a way, you saw in the UK, we opened their market, $5 billion of exports.
Wow, $5 billion. Be still my beating heart. We cadavered the fucking economy for $5 billion.
Many of these countries will be, because they have bigger economies, even bigger. And our idea is have the Americans be able to export to those countries, grow America, right? Ranchers, produce, vegetables, machinery, ethanol, things like that. Sell to those countries.
That's the UK thing, is some like rise in ethanol overall because Iowa.
Lower their tariff rate and then bring manufacturing back to America. So I think we're very, very focused on America's golden age coming. We're going to make trade more fair, and it's going to work brilliantly.
Yeah, it totally is. He totally looks convinced, doesn't he?
For Americans, both. If you make it here, there's no tariff, and we can sell much, much more fairly everywhere in the world.
So Americans are watching and hoping for those long-term benefits, but our polling shows they're pretty skeptical at this point. 72% tell us they think tariffs are going to make the things they pay for right now more expensive. And a majority of them think that tariffs are actually hurting our economy. I mean, how do you work against that perception with messaging while people wait in the interim for something to happen?
You just
fuck them is the answer.
Do trade deals, right? Like, look at the UK deal, right? Just look at that deal.
Yeah, it has almost no impact on anyone. Explain to me how the flyover states benefit from a deal with England. For real. What, a little more cattle sales? Is that what it is? The price of beef was dropping too much for steaks?
Opens the UK market for the first time to $5 billion of exports. I mean, go talk to a beef rancher right now or a corn farmer right now. They are ecstatic. They've never been allowed into the UK market, and now they'll be allowed. So each of these countries, we're going to break open their...
Yeah, again, if they're open to buying $5 billion, but the market doesn't carry it, they don't have the money for it, or they don't have the interest or the purchasing power or the desire, then what fucking difference does it make? It can be open as much as it wants. If nothing is asked through the door, then what's the fucking point?
On tariff trading barriers, get our people the ability to export there. That's going to be great. We're going to have huge jobs in manufacturing. You've heard the president talk about trillions and trillions of factories being built in America.
No, no, I haven't. I missed that one. Did anybody see the because I know Trump says a lot of stupid shit, but did anybody see the big announcement of trillions and trillions of factories? Yes, they're all very small. They're like this big. They just sit on the edge and they build things just on tickety. And they have elves working in them making cookies.
Those are construction jobs starting now. And
yes, trillion construction jobs to build those trillions of factories.
And those products will not have tariffs on them. So I just completely...
They'll be too small.
Disagree. What you're going to see is prices are going to stay stable once this policy is done. You got to give them...
No. The only price stability we're seeing is where they have paused the tariffs. And even then, they're going to go up at least 10% in a bunch of areas.
President a chance to run it, but over the next 3 months, this policy is going to show trade deal after trade deal, opening markets, reshoring manufacturing, and no tariff charged if you make it in America.
Okay, so let's talk about in the interim, because we've got reports out on
Yeah, that would be the thing. Like in between now and factories being built.
the West Coast, that there are hundreds of dock workers now out of work as those ships are not coming in, the ripple effect there, hitting the trucking industry and others as well. One union official out there says it's beginning to manifest itself as real loss of jobs and income from our members. So what do you say to those American workers?
I say those people are going to be so happy with low prices while they're living in a shelter, you know, because your EBT card will go much further.
I say to those American workers, Scott Bessent is in Geneva right now talking to his counterparties in China, right? Remember, this is just a China problem right now, right?
No, it's not. He picked a fight with fucking everybody right now, dummy.
They have 145% tariff. They have 125% tariff. Those tariffs are too high to do business. But that's why they're talking right now. The rest of the world is 10%. So don't overdo it. The rest of the world is 10%.
Yes, everything in the world is 10% more expensive, except stuff from China, which at that point was 125% more expensive. And also now, hooray, they're going to be just 30% more expensive. That doesn't sound like inflation at all.
They're sending their goods here, as the president has said time and time again. We are the consumer of the world.
Not anymore.
Everybody wants to sell their goods here. So,
right. So a trade deficit is expected.
They need to do business with America, and we're using the power of our economy to open their economy to our exporters. So that is happening right now. Yes, Scott Bessent is in Geneva talking to his counterparties right now, and let's see what happens. But the president said
Yeah, all you broke motherfuckers, let's see what happens, okay? Just because you lost your job and it isn't coming back anytime soon, that's just a China thing. Shut up.
He was very optimistic and very positive. So you should be very optimistic and positive.
because Besant is, and you know how I feel that I'm very optimistic, and we all feel, and I think Ambassador Jimmy Jams over there, they feel very comfortable and confident about Jesus Christ.
The president truthed it out, and I rely on the president.
Okay, well, no surprise to you, I don't think, that the Washington Post is not among your biggest fans. Here's what they say. Lutnick's economically incoherent and contradictory commentary, they say, economists agree that tariffs are paid by importers, such as U.S. companies, which in turn pass on most or all of the cost to consumers or producers. Here's how Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer puts it.
President Trump's trade war is economic arson on our main streets, and these folks are getting scorched.
He didn't vote for you. I don't think you guys are probably besties. Is there any room, though, to work with Democrats on some of these issues?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember Chuck Schumer holding a can of Corona when the tariffs came out. I mean, imagine doing that and not holding a can of American-made Coors. I mean, why? Why would you hold up a Mexican can and say, we support Mexican?
Because it's canned here, you dumb motherfucker. That's why. Because there's canning factories here. They ship it in a giant container. They don't bring they don't bottle it and bring it across that way. They bring it over, it's cheaper, it's easier. They bring it in and then they bottle it. So the bottlers and the canning factories that put it in the actual containers are American businesses, you dumb motherfucker.
In production, first, it's a...
And besides, how dare he say that it's a Canadian, a Mexican beer.
To me, Corona means Italy.
Right?
America first. How about we support American production first?
Right, and that includes the bottlers that put stuff in the containers over here that are a big part of the industry.
Let's bring production to America. Let's employ Americans. That's sort of a key thing.
Produced by Grupo Modelo in Mexico. Constellation Brands is exclusive importer of Corona. So Constellation Brands is who brings Corona in. AB InBev owns it beer globally. The Corona's international expansion started in the U.S., particularly in the South and Southwest. Let's see, Corona Light. Owens, Illinois, a glassmaker partnered with Constellation to expand a glass bottle plant near the Nava Brewery in Mexico. So the Illinois brewmaker, the glassmaker, which I believe is one of my friends in high school, his dad worked for that company, built the brewery that they use, or the bottling facility they use. Ball Corporation has also built a plant in Monterrey, Mexico to produce cans for Constellation's new brewery. Origin history, Corona Beer, okay. So most of them are bottled over there. But the plants are made by American companies, and the brand is owned by an American company.
Let's employ Americans. Let's build an America.
I don't drink beer, so I don't know.
America, no tariffs on American goods. And then if you want to sell to America, okay, you pay a tariff that makes the American goods more competitive. But we know from experience from Trump's first term that the consumers don't pay for the tariffs.
Yes, they do.
They need the products coming in. They need to compete in America. So they've got to cut their price.
Okay, first of all, that was for one particular element, for foodstuffs, which they needed desperately. And the federal government picked up the slack in the trade war between China over food back then anyways. That...
to cut their margins, and they've got to compete here. So this concept that just prices go up, you'll buy American goods, and to be competitive, the foreigners will have to cut their price. You saw it with the Asians. They've already announced they're not raising their prices on their cars that are coming in, even though there's a tariff. It proves the point. Don't buy into these economists who are just not in the real world, right? Look at the UK.
Well, there was a pause.
Deal, it is working.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding. American workers and consumers are watching closely. Secretary Letnick, we wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. So, again, turned out we saw the deal this morning. Nowhere near what they were promising by any stretch. Now, if I may, let's see, where is this? Okay, let me grab one more thing. And Discord, there we are. I'm not like, yeah. Scrolling up, by the way, yeah, okay, chat room's up, excellent. What's up? Fixed all that stuff, there we go. Thanks, CSL. Is this? Sparkler said the fart sounds echoed. Yeah, I think I've fixed that. I don't know quite why. Let's give it a, hold on. Let me see if I can. What the hell? What the hell's going on? What is that? What's that? Oh my god. This is terrifying. Ah!
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's it's a positive sign in those situations, I think. Hopefully we won't have to deal with that again anytime soon in the show. I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm holding it together. I was worried for a little bit, but we're gonna come back. So let me bring up. That's a long one. Hold on. This is the signing. Hold on, Brink. Well, I kind of. The issue is I already did part of that this morning. Yeah. I want to do one last like touch base on. Well, there's a couple of things, a couple of pieces of news. There's so much. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed with clips these days. It's fucking crazy. I didn't know this. Also, you guys, we are so mad right now. Oh my God. Did you know that? Did you know, oh my God, we're like so mad right now? We're so mad. And it's largely because something establishment, something Democrat, something or other something, I think. Hold on, I'm looking up one more thing. Oof. Brutal. Okay. This is, oh yeah, here it is, the Afrikaners. I couldn't find this one. Okay, found it. Good Lord. Okay. So a couple of things right now. You and I are enraged right now. Don't you feel it? I feel the rage. I'm feeling the rage currently. We're in a state of rage. Unhinged. Democrats are in a state of rage after Trump win. Apparently, Trump won something. Was there another one of those like golf tournaments that they have at Mar-a-Lago that he pretends to win or something? State of rage. Here we go. Or maybe he's just talking about the election in general, or are we just retreading that shit so he doesn't have to talk about the Epstein files and the fact that Michael Cohen served as his fixer too, as he was client number 3?
And welcome to a special Friday night edition of Hannity.
Does he normally have the Friday nights off? Does anybody care?
Left in a state of rage.
Oh, dagnabbit! I'm so mad. Sorry.
Well, after getting absolutely demolished in the 2024 elections, Democrats, they had two options. They could have accepted reality. They could have worked with President Trump. They could try to find common ground.
With a adjudicated rapist and a fraudster and somebody who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years? Pass.
Nope. Instead, they woke up on November the 6th,
Well, I will say that by just sitting back, he's enacted a couple of Democratic priorities. So maybe if we sit back long enough, he'll just pass a bunch of Democratic shit to get himself out of the hole he's created. Where are the Epstein files?
24, they chose violence and anger and total rage. They have been completely unhinged ever since. Now, coming up.
Have we? I think I've been rather charming, actually.
We're going to bring you the very latest from the pro-Hamas riots that are taking place in Americans' college campuses. Also tonight, you're
going to visit their person?
Back, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, once again, back in the news for every wrong reason during a...
That's because you don't think black women belong in the news? Is that the
congressional hearing. She actually forced a witness to play a game she called, quote, Trump or trans.
Yeah, who said this? Right. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
I'll explain straight ahead. And later.
Yeah, I don't think. I think we get it.
Jimmy Fallon will give his thoughts on New York's #1 Trump hater, Letitia James, who is now in some potential legal trouble of.
Ooh, very scary. Apparently, she owns an apartment building with 4 apartments. One she is not renting out, so she listed it a 5-apartment building with 4 apartments in it, and. I mean, that's as big as anything Trump ever did.
Her own and getting ridiculed by her own constituents. Take a look.
My question is for Tush James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting...
Yeah, that looks like her constituent. Yeah, absolutely. Tush. He called her Tush.
...millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial. And how does it feel?
Yeah, listen to all those people booing Tish James. They're not... booing the dude whose ED meds have made his hair fall out.
To know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud.
We'll check in with Jimmy Fallon.
Boom. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the idea is that she has a lease on a building, and the idea is that there are 5 units in the building, not 4 units, but she has it only listed as a 4-unit building. Not sure how that would guarantee it would help you. Yeah, but apparently I'm guessing you take one of those apartments off and you either let the manager live in it and you don't rent it out. It's not actually part of the rent scheme. That happens a lot, where you have somebody who's basically a live-in caretaker for the building, and they live there either for free or they live at a lesser rate, or they're a family member, so you treat it like an apartment you own, that kind of thing. Who cares?
Jimmy Fallon, and also we'll tell you about our upcoming punchlines.
Yeah, this is fucking amazing. This is. I mean, it's so nice. People were, I guess, forgetting why the fuck they tune into Hannity now that Trump's in office. What the fuck do they need to look at this thumb in a suit for? And he's like, but I got a list of things. Everyone keeps clicking away. No one's watching my show anymore. So I'll make up. Here's all the reasons. I've got lots of things. Don't get bored. Where are you going?
Some Patriots tour tickets on sale today. We'll tell you about that. But first, here is, and that's along with Fox Nation, a quick review of the current state of the Democratic Party. Hours ago, several congressional Democrats, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, showed up uninvited at an ICE facility and breached the perimeter. Apparently, they wanted to secure the release of a violent criminal illegal, one of those gang members detained inside. This was supposed to be a bold political stunt in defiance of President Trump. But the Newark mayor ended up getting arrested while the members of...
Yes, just terrible. Like it looks completely unhinged. 75 million people voted for Harris. There's 26 people outside of a facility, most of them elected representatives.
Of Congress were ultimately granted a tour of the facilities. Now, according to the U.S.
Well, then why were they turned away in the first fucking place?
Attorney Alina.
Oh, right, so you could clear children from the room. That's right.
Quote, the mayor of Newark committed trespass, ignored...
It's his city. He's the mayor. You can't. Again, inspecting the ICE detention center, especially if you picked up what you believe to be our Newark, New Jersey constituents would be his job, one would think. And I also don't know why he wouldn't have clearance to look inside the place, period. That's never been clear. Like, why they turn people away, it is the most fucked up thing. Why not let them come in and walk? If it's great, and if it's exactly what you say it is, let them walk around. Just say, you can't film, but you can go in there and we'll lead you on a tour and you can tell everybody what you saw. If that's the issue.
Multiple warnings from Homeland Security to remove himself from the ICE detention center in...
Yeah, he stepped like in 3 feet and then he walked back out, and then they came out after he had left and arrested him.
Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law that will not stand in this state. He has been taken into custody.
He's the mayor of the city that it's in.
No one is above the law.
Well, apparently Trump is, and I guess Epstein was. He's above his bunk anyways.
Now, this is a truly pathetic party filled with all this anti-Trump rage.
Oh, it's so mad. We built this graphic, so I'm just going to do my best to lash my bullshit to it.
Rage, desperate for attention, taken over by radicals. But tonight, this anger isn't just reserved for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That's pretty predictable. Democrats also, they're even mad at themselves, especially Joe and Jill Biden, that they have now thrust themselves back into the public spotlight.
Yeah, nobody's grinding their teeth about any of this shit, Sean. Again, this seems like you're desperately trying to, like, reinvigorate the rage boner that you have and are failing miserably. As a matter of fact, goodbye. Like, at a certain point, you just get over it. I don't know what the fuck. It's so weird. Okay, so let me show you this. The Afrikaners arrived. Now, couple of things. I am for some of these Afrikaner families coming over here as refugees, because I am for refugees who are in a situation where their lives are in danger and their babies will be killed and all that kind of stuff, no matter what the circumstance is. I believe in a colorblind version of that magnanimity. I believe we have a responsibility to people who desperately need help to extend that hand. That's part of what makes me a Democrat. Even if they're white. How do you like that? Not because they are. And anymore, the reason that I go, because they're black, right? That's not what it is either. Or because they're Arab or whatever. It has to do with the safety of those people, right? You could be colorblind towards people needing help. And for those of you that haven't followed along over the years, or if you don't watch the China show, Serpent Zede is South African. He's a white South African. He moved to China years ago and then now lives, I believe, in the United States full time. I don't know if he's become a citizen or what the deal is yet, but he's covered pretty extensively some of the shit that has gone on with as far as post-apartheid South Africa, and the violence that occurred. And some of it is fucking gnarly. And the billionaires aren't refugees. I agree. Those folks aren't coming over here. They're not the ones who need this help. They already came if they wanted to. Again, the idea that these are the rich ones is a distraction, I think. So the point I'm trying to make is, like, I believe that African families should be allowed to come over here. That they don't. They think they want to pick and choose, right? Based on skin color. I don't. I think if your family's in danger and you need help as a refugee and you'd be you want to be a decent law-abiding member of society or whatever, and you want to either temporarily live here and contribute to society and then move back to your home later on, cool. Right? So why are they here? I think largely because he's offering them a way out, because a lot of these folks, they're not going back to the Netherlands or Switzerland or any of those places. So anyways, they meet a family of those folks here. Let me show you these folks. These are the folks that are coming through, just so you'll see them. Just to get an idea of who we're dealing with. They're all holding American flags. This kid's got his earmuffs on because he's clearly neurodivergent and the big noises are very scary to him. Again, I don't have to pick and choose who I have empathy for because of skin color. It's not hard. It's not hard. I don't like or dislike anyone based on their permanent characteristics or where they were born automatically like that. Just say it. Aw, thank you. Athena's girl, thank you so much. So, this kid's adorable. She looks like she lives near my sister in Kentucky. But that lady looks like she's gone full Tulsi, which never go full Tulsi. She looks like a photo negative of Tulsi Gabbard's hairdo. That's funny. Anyways, so this is them hanging around. And they're just this like B-roll of these folks. Then a puddings. So these are the folks that they come and they meet. This is the first group of these folks, okay? And they come over. Like these are basically like lower middle class people in that country. And South Africa, aside from all the racial tension right now, is effectively a failed state. I would argue that there are a lot of Africans, South Africans who are African, by birth. Well, I guess these are technically African by birth too, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. They're like, again, these people love Africans that are, white Afrikaners, that's the part that they're bringing over. That's why they're all white. The black Africans can come over as part of other programs. So I have a lot of people from Kenya and other people doing this, right? So no non-whites? They're Afrikaners, that's the point. It's a specific group of people, okay? These are farmers that can't split. So first of all, I would argue to everybody in the chat room, I'm just gonna put this out there. It's always bad form to jump into racism with both feet, no matter what you think the root of something is. And a lot of times people fleeing an area, especially a place where there's a lot of violence that they're experiencing, either as a minority or as a former majority or any of that turnaround, often is part of a struggle or a fight that started before they were born or before they ever moved there. It's the only life they've known, and then they go. I know the Dutch colonizer thing is flying around there, but that doesn't mean anything to people who've lived there for multiple generations at this point, and they're leaving. Okay, so the idea, though, that they shouldn't be able to come here has no idea. I have no idea who picked those 40 people. They may be Elon and Thiel's extended families. They're not, because Elon and Thiel's extended families don't need any help coming over here. Because they're Palestinian? Well, that would be the other. We have Palestinians living in the United States, right? We have Palestinians from the West Bank and Palestinians that formerly lived in Gaza who live in the United States, who are citizens now, have been for decades, right? Because they fled the area, because they wanted to raise a family, and they didn't expect that there would be any balance to that in their lifetime, right? Okay, so point being is that I find it completely unnecessary to go after anybody for their race or any of their immutable characteristics ever for any reason. If they don't deserve to be here because of immorality or violence or those kind of things, then that should be the case. And the same thing should apply to other immigrants who are here legally or not, who have been extended temporary protected status or deferred enforcement status. They should be allowed to stay as well. Does that make sense? Okay, so I will check their website in a second. But this is them arriving here, and they meet the Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, who is fucking dweeb-tastic. So he comes.
Welcome to the United States of America. It is such an honor for us to receive you here today. This is the land of the free, and we know that.
Jesus, and the fact, they do this for every group of migrants and refugees that come over here.
All of you have faced. I'm Chris Landau. First, I'll introduce myself. I'm the Deputy Secretary of State of the United States. This is my friend Troy Edgar.
Yeah, I'm the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security. Again, welcome.
But he's also my friend Troy.
Great to have you guys here. I know you've gone from a long flight. I cannot believe there are babies and children who are actually so well behaved. This is much better than mine are. So bless you for that. And I think.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like children, regardless of their race, are innocent and decent and deserve a shot. It's funny. It's almost as if you're so close, you could almost extend that to people that don't look exactly like you.
It's so happy. It makes me so happy to see you with our flag in your hands, and that flag symbolizes liberty for so many of us.
Oh my God! I mean, the dude is such a wiener.
Many of us, our families, have had a journey not that different from the journey that you are embarking on today.
They already embarked on it. They're here, stupid.
My own father was born in Europe.
My own father was born in Europe. You don't say. How was his canoe ride across the Atlantic? The poor fella. Your dad was born in Europe? Jesus, how old are you? You must be in your late 40s, early 50s. So that means he must have carved a boat with his fucking teeth.
And had to leave his country when Hitler came in the 1930s, and made his way to South America first, and then eventually to the United States. So
he was a Nazi who fled to Argentina after the war. I see.
He is an immigrant who actually, was able to benefit from the many blessings of this country. And one of the reasons.
Yeah, we know how that works. We're just confused about why it wouldn't work for the brown ones. Stupid.
That I really wanted to go and work for the government.
God, this is so fucking ham-handed.
Is because I wanted to give back to this country that really brought freedom to my family and allowed us to escape a very difficult situation.
Oh yeah, I can feel it.
In another country. So, I know that this is going to be.
But DB Golding saying no black African farmers. The idea is that black African farmers are staying there and taking that land back, and these people are leaving and leaving their farms behind, so they're fleeing without any of their stuff, and then the black African farmers wouldn't need to come here. They would just take over whatever these folks split and left behind, would be the idea.
Any adjustment in life.
It doesn't matter. But again, understand that this is meant to be as much of their kind of like bait and switch distraction as possible, and a way of like sucking up to the rest of MAGA.
Change takes a while to get used to. But I want.
Yeah, okay, where are they going to stay? Where are they going to get a house right away? Work, money? Exactly. They're not going to go to a refugee hotel or any of that stuff. They're going to work visa right fucking away. And I bet you anything, there'll be a big story next year about how they're all farming.
You all to know that you are really welcome here and that we respect.
Jesus, can you not? Dude, just keep it on the down low. Jesus Christ. The fact that you wouldn't ever do this from another group. You wouldn't do this for fucking Coptic Christians from the Middle East. Right? Ugh.
You have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people.
Well. No. If anything, we understand it's very difficult to come from a tradition that's very, we understand that because we had white Southerners who are still trying to deal with the fact that they lost the Civil War. So you'll fit in right down there. You guys can bitch about the same shit.
What you have accomplished over the years, and I am sure that you will be successful. As you know, a lot of you, I think, are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will.
Oh, God, he worked on this, didn't he? I'm going to say this thing. Honey, I'm going to say this thing about quality seeds. You're what? Yeah, I had this thing if you take quality seeds, you can plant them in foreign soil. Shut the fuck up and pass the bacon. I'm sorry.
They will blossom. They will bloom. And
were any of them slave owners? No. That's not how that system, not for centuries.
We are excited to welcome you here.
Well, a century and a half, I suppose.
To our country where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then we will bloom and we will benefit alongside you. So thank you very much for.
It's sort of a co-blooming. Jesus Christ.
For coming here.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now, we're holding toddlers. Can we go fucking pee right now?
I'd like to add, again, behalf of President Trump, Secretary Noem, we're just so grateful that you guys are here. Everybody within DHS, we've been so excited to be able to get you guys here to process, to vet, to everything, so you guys get a really warm start. After all I was tracking your flight, 12 hours that you were last night. I'm like, oh.
Jesus Christ. You're telling me you can't track fucking Garcia's flight and have it turned around, you piece of shit?
Oh my God. So thank you for just the patience of being able to get here.
The patience? What? They didn't have to wait in line to take turns to fly the fucking plane, dummy.
Very similar to Chris, is our Secretary Landau, is that my wife came from Iran. Same thing, persecution from Christianity. And she's come here. She now speaks 5 languages. She's a school teacher. She's a great American story. And we're so grateful. I think Chris and I both just wanted to come and make sure that we greet you guys, we meet you.
Look at this. I didn't spot that. This guy has a Iranian wife. He has a Persian wife, depending on how the argument's going in the household.
Give our contact information to you, and if there's anything that we could do, we just want to welcome you personally. We look forward to, after this, to be able to spend a little bit of time with you and get to...
Yeah, it's not often that we see white immigrants. It's like weird. Like, I don't even know what to say. It's so awkward. I'm like, hi. Shit.
To talk to you guys, so thank you guys.
Yeah, can they put their kids in strollers now? Can we get their bags off the fucking plane? Jesus Christ. Okay, then they do a shit ton of B-roll. And then they spared no expense. It's just this. Almost feel like, hold on. Thanks everybody for coming. I feel like I should do it on the one up here so that the people on Substack don't think I've lost my fucking mind entirely. So, thanks everybody for coming here today. I know. Can people please keep it down? I know that many of you have never seen a white immigrant before. I want you to know that they're not like unicorns or something. They're just like us. And just like us, they really need to take a shit and a shower. So if you could just stop fawning over them. Believe me, if you give them long enough, they'll turn into white trash you can ignore, just like the ones in the Midwest that you pretend to like, except during the election schedules. Now, we understand that a lot of you just are kind of confused about why this is news. Obviously, we're shoving, we've probably the biggest deportation in history, of course, as the president has wanted. We've been working on that very much. And so far, of the 25 million illegals that were allowed into this country by the Biden administration, we have deported a couple of dozen. And not all of them were babies. I don't care what you've heard. Not all of them were babies. So I just want to focus on that. And then I'm going to take some questions in a little bit, but I am going to, just so you know, I don't even know if you need to have your mics on. I am going to just ask you where you're asking the question from. And if I don't like the publication, I'm going to say you're trash and give something that's sort of a bit of distraction. So just expect that in general. Again, and for those of you that have paid for the VIP meet and greet, all of the white South African immigrants will be in a small touching booth before we move them to Huntsville, Alabama, which of course is the home of Operation Paperclip, where we dropped all the Nazi rocketeers after World War II. We figured they just zip right in there and feel pretty great. If you have any questions, go fuck yourself. And scene. Okay, sorry. I got to stretch myself back out. I should probably have a setup where I can do this on the regular, don't you think? Whoop. Enoch Chuck. Mute. I become teensy. There we go. Now I'm fine. Okay. I have fixed it. All right. Yeah, so this drags on for quite some time, and then those two dipshits come out and they make a statement. Where is it? Yeah, they're starting to show up. Doop, 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 doop. Some interviews and some people around here, and then they answer some questions, and then you get to see just what super dweebs. Hashtag the best people. There's your mark. Is this where I stand? Yeah, you mean between the two fucking flags on the big black background where the mic has been pointed for the last 10 minutes? Are you fucking confused? Or are you just like, don't step down there. That's one of the really small Afrikaners. These are the gnomes that they brought with them. So.
Okay. Just tell me when we're ready.
Yep. So first, Deputy Secretary Landau's going to give a few remarks. Here we go.
I'm from your office. Hey, you doing good? Awesome. He's going to be first. And action. I'll be over here. It's a fucking dweeb city.
Thank you very much. And thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out here this afternoon. The Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security and I just met with this first flight of South African refugees.
And they're still getting our slobber off their clothing.
To arrive in our country pursuant to the President's executive order about certain egregious actions in South Africa.
They're starting to treat them like they're treated at home.
The President made it clear that Afrikaners in South Africa who were the victims of unjust racial discrimination would be welcome to come to the United States, and he's now delivering on that promise.
Also, real quick, unjust racial discrimination, does that not, by its very nature, suppose that there is just racial discrimination? I would tend to disagree, but it seems to me that you seem to think that there's some sort of just... I see, all right. Mm-hmm.
The Deputy Secretary and I just spoke to some of the folks who arrived on this flight.
Yes, you already said that part.
And they tell quite harrowing stories of the violence that they faced in South Africa that was not redressed by the authorities, by the unjust application of the law. The United States, as we were proud to say, has...
yes, I would agree. I would agree. This is tremendously woke. This whole thing is so fucking woke. It's 100% woke. Okay, hold on. This is... Where do we go? I'm trying to find... I'm trying to find something that's more recent. There you go. Hold on one second.
For equal justice under law and the fair and impartial application of the law. And again, this is a group that has not experienced that and has, to the contrary, experienced violence and really fear for their lives in South Africa. They were really subject to very serious, egregious, and targeted threats. And we wish...
Okay, first of all, that's all true. Okay, that's yes. Whites are being targeted in South Africa for their skin color. Bad whenever that happens. But let me show you something. When they're talking about, let's see if I can open this up without, in South Africa right now, let's see, these are the taxi wars. Now, there was a similar thing going on in Toronto when I first moved up there. This is fucking Storyblocks footage. Get out of here. Where they're battling groups that control different taxis in Johannesburg and in Cape Town, and they start fights with each other, and then they set each other's cars on fire. This is just fucking like this recycled footage. Let me show you the real gnarly shit. But I have to look through all these things without. There we go. This business right here. Because the murder rate in like Cape Town is fucking brutal right now. And here's the thing that gets lost on these folks. When you're playing on the laugh tag, you were using when Trump fascist clown speaks better than speeding up his voice, make a laughing stock out of him. Oh, well, thank you, Groove Dragon. I agree. I think that was the best way to handle him as well. I actually went and found some more sound effects along those lines so I'd have more to choose from when the time came around again. Yeah. So all throughout like Cape Town and other places, like crime is pretty fucked up. Okay, in general, there's some really gnarly, and like I can't scroll through it's a person getting killed. There you go. So the crime over there is really awful. And so the complaint that somehow that whites that are being targeted, which they absolutely are being ignored by the police when they try to file a complaint or whatever, that the targeting is because they're white. The lack of follow through on the part of the police and the government isn't necessarily because they're white. Although I'm sure it doesn't help. It's not because they're white. It's because there's no follow through at fucking all. Everybody is in deep shit over there. Like it's fucking sad. And South Africa has been in a decaying state for years now. 3,000 deaths a year. Cape Town in particular, and these like, in this like the gnarlier, like slummy places. Now, hold on, let me slip past this business. Yeah. And I have to be careful what. Yeah, because they start shooting. Can't show that stuff, whatever. There's just tons of this kind of violence. And so the idea that are white settlers being targeted specifically for rape and murder and all that kind of stuff? No question. Are there children being slaughtered? Yes. Are women being raped and murdered? Absolutely. And is it because they're white? In most cases, yes. But it's also opportunistic. But on top of that, it isn't that the government is not hearing their cries. It's that the government doesn't do shit about anything right now. That's the part that where do they fall in the refugee part? They've just decided to stay in a country that's falling apart, which is happening under its own weight.
Wish them well in their journey of the United States.
Yes, which you do with no other immigrants and refugees at all, including the Afghanis who helped us fight the Taliban and who would be killed if they were found out. Or like, I used to have a personal assistant who was from Iraq, and he was gay, and he was living in the United States and living his best life. But if he helped he helped the U.S. troops in Iraq, and if he stayed, they would kill him, A, for helping us, well, A, for being gay, and B, for helping us. His life was in danger. So they brought him to the United States. He was able to move here. And if he hadn't, he'd be dead, period. But on top of that, like, would they have killed him for being gay? Yes. Would they have would they have killed him for helping the U.S.? Absolutely. But if his family sought justice, would they do it because he was gay or he helped the U.S.? No. They just wouldn't help because they don't have the ability to help anybody. Yes, gay in Iraq is a death sentence. As it is in good old Palestine, my friends.
We underscored for them that the American people are a welcoming and generous people, and
if you're white and you have a scary accent.
We underscore.
I'm from South Africa. I sound a bit like a mean Australian.
The importance of assimilation.
God damn, this dude is a dweeb. He's the Deputy Secretary of State?
Into
but
the United
yes, but you're black. You are. Yes, I am. That's right. Yes, you are.
States, which is one of the very important factors that we look to in refugee admissions. And
God, just polish this turd, dumbass. Just say it. Trump wanted to help him because Elon Musk told him that white South Africans are fucked. And if he didn't tell him that, he wouldn't give a shit about these people, no matter what desperate situation they were in.
Through this
While you're at it, why don't you bring some albinos out of fucking Kinshasa or sub-Saharan Africa? You want to see a life of trouble? See what happens to a black person with albinism in Africa. Jesus.
Program for these folks who were
Your dork dar is tingling. This dude is totally pegging the dork radar. Yeah.
In South Africa, and we're sending a clear message that the United States really rejects the egregious persecution of people on the basis of race in South Africa.
Well, notice he was like, we're against people being discriminated against because of race. In South Africa, I mean, everywhere else, it's kind of like, what do you expect? You know? I mean, come on. I mean, look who I work for. Are you shitting me? Good Lord.
And we welcome these people to the United States and to a new future. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Secretary Troy Edgar. First of all, I just want to thank President Trump, Secretary Noem, for the opportunity to come down here and welcome these folks from South Africa.
God damn. Like, there's fucking 65 people, I think, in total. There's probably, over the course of this entire thing, there might be 250 or 300 of them that qualify and can get the fuck out of there and want to and will and all that shit. Meanwhile, why do they, all right, I was about to say, why do they get a press conference? We know exactly why.
You know, it's
his chin didn't come through customs.
I also am very grateful for Deputy Secretary Landau. You know, we do a lot of work together to try to further the objectives of the president, and this has been a very important day.
Totally.
It's great to greet these folks that came in, to hear their stories, to hear what they've been through. You know, this is a real situation. These people have went through a lot of stuff, and we're just grateful to have them in the U.S. As many of us know, the United States has a long history of bringing people over. My wife was...
go easy, buddy.
An Iranian, came over during the regime change in the 70s, and she's now here, speaks 5 languages, a school teacher. We think the American dream is possible for these South Africans. We're super excited for them.
And if we weren't importing women, I would never be able to find one.
Deputy Secretary and myself have given these people our personal information and said anything we could do to help them be successful.
My wife is, of course, from Iran. I myself am a mole rat. Love is possible.
We just want to wish them the best. We thank you guys for coming down here and celebrating this with us. Thank you.
A couple questions first, Breitbart.
Hi, thank you for your time.
Real quick, how come you never do this for black people? I think the only question anyone has, for real. How come neither of you, you're not greeting any boats full of black people or any, no? You're not, no Middle Eastern Coptic Christians that were fleeing persecution in Syria that came over here? They're pretty fucking brown. I don't know if you've seen them, but holy shit, they're brown. So, you know, if you ever, any reason you're not down here glad handing them through, helping them with their luggage? Any reason at all?
What are some examples of racial discrimination or attacks that initially caught the eye of the Trump administration? And is there a pathway to American citizenship for these refugees?
Sure. Well, thank you for that question. I think if you look at the executive order that the president issued back.
Hey, asshole. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. This would be. Here you go. Euro News. This is these are white people in they call it white slums, There were people who were driven off their land, their families in, or farmers that didn't own the land but worked it for other whites. That was the other thing too. There's a lot of like middle and lower class folks that I know I'm entering into. I'm a busy guy. I'm doing lots. I've been at it for a while. I totally let that time slip by. This is this. I mean, this looks like fucking Kentucky. You know, parts like rural Kentucky, which is what we're talking about. These are the folks that they're talking about moving out of there. These aren't the ones that still have these giant like plantation farms and shit like that. Just so you know. There's a dude with one leg. There he is. I'm sure he lost it in a firecracker accident. Yep. So yeah, they were basically sharecroppers on those places as well. So the people that are coming over here are those folks more than likely because they're going to use them as a PR push, just so you know.
On February 7th of this year, it talks about the terrible expropriation act that was enacted last year in South Africa that allows for the expropriation without compensation of farmland. A fair number of these refugees were farmers who've farmed this particular land for generations and now face the threat not only of expropriation.
Yeah, the generations part is, I think, probably the issue.
But also of direct violence. We had a chance to speak to them about many of these folks have experience with threatening invasions.
Yeah, that's what she was asking you about, fuckhead.
Invasions of their homes, their farms, and a real lack of interest or success of the government in doing anything about this situation, as well, obviously, as...
God damn, this guy is dull. Sorry, I went long. I just kind of lost track of time because I was so busy talking to you guys. I blame the kidney, but in reality, it was just because there's so much to fucking cover, and there's no way to cover all of it right now. And we, like, I try to, like, snippet some of this stuff. You know, we didn't even do the full-length stuff, and it still takes so much time to explain all the lies. All right, so I'll let you guys go. I've got to get in the car. I got to just throw some gear in the car and get the fuck out of Dodge, because I got to drive to LA tonight in this wind, by the way, which is fucked up. So I'll let you guys go. Sorry for keeping you, but I adore you. So share the show. Like and subscribe, etc., 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 and I will talk to you on the other side of it. And hold on, I think I have a theme song to go out on. Let's see, should we? Which one do I feel like today? It's difficult. It's very hard to try and. I mean, I feel like. Am I getting crumbly audio? Is that weird? Does that sound odd to you guys, or is it just to me? Because often I have to see if my stuff can go. All right. Excellent. It was just in my headphones being weird. I just did a restart on it. Just going to let you guys ease into Monday night, man. No welcome for Gilmar Garcia. Exactly. They didn't even do it for his fucking send-off. They're not gonna, look, I don't care if they bring him back undercover at night and they don't pay any attention to it. As long as they bring him back, we'll make all the noise that needs to be made. You know what I mean? Yeah, say hi to Rachel for me. Much love, everybody. Oh yeah, the Venmo thing is back up. If you want to Venmo, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, or a tea, actually. Plain iced tea. That's all. That's all. If you're on Substack and all that stuff, that's what that Venmo is. You can just kind of take a picture with your phone and just saying it's a thing. Can help out, maybe. Mm-hmm.
That was really cool, by the way.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it.
just bullshit, Joel.
Does the president or any other responsible agency know about this?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
Professional assassination. It's the highest form of public service.
He's a genius, eh?
We need you. Hell, I need you. I'm a mess without you. I miss you so damn much. I miss being with you. I miss being near you. I miss your laugh. I miss your scent. I miss your musk. When this all gets sorted out, I think you and me should get an apartment together.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Groovy.
I'm your huckleberry.
I'm just a happy camper.
I'm a land farmer, motherfucker!
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Why don't you just sit there and bleed a while before you taste some real pain?
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me.
I am a HAL 9000 computer. I became operational at the HAL plant in Urbana, Illinois on the 12th of January, 1992.
Diet Coke!
He's gonna take the fucking thing away from you. He's gonna kill you. And then he's gonna have sex with your face.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years of evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
God. Sorry. I farted.